Chapter 26. In a minute, several nine-tailed fox members moved all the 3 mutant puppets away. Everything returned to calm, as if nothing had happened. And watching all this, both Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong fell into deep silence. They've learned the power of SCP containment. The previous atmospheric jellyfish had already shown them the horror of such creatures. Atmospheric jellyfish, however, are at least in the biological category. They can hunt, live, and have their own way of hunting. Except for being slightly stronger, they are actually just a group of beasts. But the puppet is different. This coffin puppet really made them realize the horror of SCP. The strength of these mutants is obvious to all. If it is a direct confrontation, even if they are armed, it is difficult to be the opponent of these mutants. But now these powerful mutants, under the strange power of the coffin dolls, have turned into dolls and completely lost their lives. This may not be as bloody and terrifying as when the atmospheric jellyfish preyed on members of the Ten Rings, but it is definitely shocking and weird enough. He watched helplessly that the existences with powerful power turned into dolls without any resistance in front of him, but he didn't even know how it was caused. Thinking of this, the 2 women felt a chill. At the same time, it also gave them a deeper understanding of the horror of the SCP Foundation. Okay, let's all go back and rest. Jiang Bai took a look at the second daughter, who had a rather unattractive face, and suddenly showed a playful look on his face. If the 2 ladies have nightmares tonight, you can come to me for some comfort. Jiang Bai purposely said these words in an ambiguous tone. After hearing Jiang Bai's words, she has always been the second daughter of an old driver, but it is rare that she does not make progress. But this is also expected by Jiang Bai. Because of the behavior of the coffin puppet, these 2 girls who are fearless at this moment are more or less afraid. After all, the existence of the unknown is the most terrifying. Because of this, they didn't care about Jiang Bai's flamboyance at all. SPC 444 is in containment immediately. Everyone is on high alert. The law and method of killing coffin dolls. Jiang Bai saw for the first time that the 3 mutants who were not too weak died under the law of killing coffin dolls without even persevering for such a short time. It also demonstrates the dangers of coffin dolls. Therefore, Jiang Bai paid more attention to the coffin dolls. Nine-tailed fox's opponents also immediately took action, further strengthened the management of the base and its contents. Jiang Bai went back to his room after exhorting other things. Then I started to sort out the harvest of my trip to the Middle East. First of all, after containing SCP-312, I got SCP-500, a panacea. Using this thing, I can solve almost all diseases, even conceptual diseases. This is a good thing. You must know that in American comics there are a lot of ghost things like curses in this place. SCP-500, the panacea. In Jiang Bai's understanding, it is not just a simple disease. There are also some curses and other things that can be cured. The simplest example, such as Little Cheap Deadpool, his immortality at the beginning was due to the curse of purple sweet potato essence, and this panacea can break the curse of purple sweet potato essence, so that Deadpool can die. Definitely whether he will be resurrected by the goddess of death is not clear. Another example is Little Spider-Man, who mutated after being bitten by a spider. This situation only needs a panacea, and it can be solved, making Little Spider-Man a normal person again. Then there is JRVIS. After he became my follower, it means that I will have a share of all Tony's research, and JRVIS also contributed 1,000 points of SAN value to me. JRVIS' role in the Avengers Alliance isn't even under Iron Man Tony. Many of Tony's inventions and behaviors can only be realized through JRVIS, especially after it later became a real artificial intelligence. So after developing JRVIS into his own believer, Jiang Bai also got a lot of SAN value. With these SAN values, my subsequent actions will be much easier. Jiang Bai opened the exchange menu as he spoke. SCP-354 has not been found yet, and there should be more SCPs scattered around the world. Naturally, Jiang Bai would not let these SCPs get lost outside, and the more SCPs he contained, the more rewards he could get. This is a safe and secure business. So Jiang Bai immediately redeemed an SCP clue worth 100 SAN. Although I also have an old compass that can search for the existence of SCPs, it is only used for short-range searches after all. The world is so big that it is still difficult for me to search for it. Therefore, it is still necessary to redeem a clue of SCP. After Jiang Bai clicked the exchange, the system immediately sounded a reminder. Anomalous item SCP-076 found, target range New York. SCP-076, able? Jiang Bai naturally knew about SCP-076, a humanoid containment with enough intelligence and great strength. At the same time, it is extremely unfriendly to humans and will try to kill deadmans all the time. But at the same time, Abel is not a completely incommunicable existence. At least he used to be the captain of the SCP Foundation, one of the mobile task forces in Pandora's box. The event saved the world. So for Abel, Jiang Bai is actually looking forward to it. At least such an existence seems to be much friendlier than those SCPs who cannot communicate. But the only thing to pay attention to is that after meeting humans, Abel will basically go berserk and try to kill the Deadman class. The only way to solve this situation is to defeat Abel. Only the strong can tame the tiger, and this is the same for Abel. It just so happens that there is something about Tony. The bounties he got for saving him, and the branch of the Foundation should also be on the agenda. Jiang Bai was talking when he suddenly heard a knock on the door. Then a soft voice came in. "Master, I'm afraid. I want to talk to the young master." King Ada? Hearing this familiar voice, Jiang Bai immediately raised his eyebrows, then got up and walked towards the door end. Chapter 27. You're scared? Jiang Bai looked at King Ada playfully. Playful eyes walked up and down her whole body. To be honest, Ada Wong's figure is really good. Even good is a bit unrealistic. A pair of long legs, round and slender, are looming in the slit Chong Sam, arousing people's imagination. The other positions are also extremely popular, which is particularly eye-catching, but these are not the point. The point is that King Ada said she was afraid? What are you afraid of? If she hadn't played the game, she would know what kind of person she was in the game. It is estimated that Jiang Bai was deceived by her. The old fierce girl. A fierce girl who shoots zombies one by one, and even dares to face mutant zombies, tell me to be afraid? Having said that, Jiang Bai did not expose King Ada, but looked at King Ada with a smile on his face, and then said slowly, "What? Are you scared by the coffin doll?" "Yes." King Ada nodded immediately, and then made a look of fear. "My nightmares now are all about being turned into a puppet." As King Ada spoke, he stepped forward and grabbed Jiang Bai's hand, making a pitiful look. Feeling the smooth and soft palm in his hand, Jiang Bai naturally ate the tofu unceremoniously. Anyway, this is the other party's own sheep going into the tiger's mouth. Is it possible that there is really Liu Xiaohui who is not in trouble these days? Are you sure that's not the father-in-law who was given eternal rule? Although Ada Wong, who was being eaten tofu by Jiang Bai, was still smiling at the moment, the smile was quite forced. Damn Wilkie, it's a big loss to cooperate with him this time. The same goes for this brat. Why is he showing no defense at all now? King Ada just sent Wilkie the video of the coffin puppet killing that he secretly recorded, which naturally aroused Wilkie's strong curiosity. Dang even asked King Ada to do everything possible to investigate the coffin doll and the specific situation of the SCP Foundation. But apart from Jiang Bai, no one else knows the answer to these things. So after thinking about it, Ada Wong finally gritted his teeth and came to Jiang Bai to inquire about some situations. The coffin puppet also has its own set of rules of killing, where almost 80% of the SCP containment objects are like this. They all have their own set of rules of action, just like computer programming, which can hardly be violated. Jiang Bai patted King Ada's hand lightly, and then said slowly, "As long as you don't provoke these SCPs, then they are harmless to you." King Ada's eyes lit up immediately after hearing this. Although she has figured out some patterns herself, this is only her own guess after all. Now with Jiang Bai's approval, King Ada felt more at ease. But at the moment, King Ada wanted to continue to ask something, but before she could speak, Jiang Bai let go of King Ada's hand, and then stretched. "Are you at ease now? Go back and rest early," Jiang Bai said and looked back at his bed. "Definitely, you can choose to stay with me." Ada Wong is a very mysterious woman. The entire Resident Evil did not make it clear which side this woman belongs to. Jiang Bai actually didn't intend to have too much involvement with King Ada until he found out her details and made King Ada completely submit to him. A little bit of flirting and some tofu is okay. But if it really develops to the last step, Jiang Bai still wants the other party to be more honest. Definitely, if King Ada really doesn't intend to leave, then Jiang Bai doesn't mind playing poker with several people tonight. Still the same sentence, only the father-in-law is really stable, because they are all nonsense. Ada Wong can naturally see some of Jiang Bai's attitude. After King Ada was silent for a moment, he nodded with a smile, turned, and left. I and Wilkie are nothing more than a cooperative relationship. There is no need to put myself on the line for this. Moreover, Jiang Bai is too mysterious. Whether you want to cooperate with Jiang Bai in depth, you have to wait for yourself to observe deeply before deciding. It is undeniable that King Ada is indeed somewhat curious about Jiang Bai. But this is only limited to curiosity. He will pay more attention to Jiang Bai and even have a deeper understanding of Jiang Bai, but now the two of them don't know each other at all. Of course, there is no way to talk about further development. Why don't you hold on? Looking at the back of King Ada leaving, Jiang Bai said with a smile and a teasing tone, and then closed the door. The next day, early in the morning, Jiang Bai has already made people prepare for the plane to New York, planning to take Ada Wong and Natasha Romanoff to New York. Naturally, Natasha Romanoff also knew what happened last night, so from the very beginning, her eyes were constantly wandering around Ada Wong and Jiang Bai, as if she wanted to confirm the relationship between the two. But after watching it for a long time, Natasha Romanoff didn't see why. The two feel the same as before. There is not much difference. Instead, it was King Ada who started teasing Natasha Romanoff. What? Keep staring at the young master. Do you have any thoughts about the young master? Natasha Romanoff was barely overwhelmed by what King Ada said. Isn't this clearly telling Jiang Bai that he is spying on him? God knows what Jiang Bai will think after hearing this. Maybe at that time, Jiang Bai will still doubt his identity, then it will be really troublesome. Fortunately, Jiang Bai didn't care about these things this time. After all, he already knew the identities of these two women. Get ready. We'll set off for New York right away, where new SCPs are waiting for us. King Ada and Natasha Romanoff were startled when they heard this, and they looked up at Jiang Bai in astonishment. Especially Natasha Romanoff, after looking around, asked Jiang Bai in disbelief, "Where are the nine-tailed fox people? Are we the only ones this time?" "That's right." Jiang Bai nodded indifferently. "This operation will be completed by another mobile task force from the Foundation, and our Foundation also has a base in New York. So these things there is absolutely nothing to worry about." New York? Natasha Romanoff looked at Jiang Bai in surprise. That's New York. The base camp of SHIELD. Where does the SCP Foundation actually have a base? Are those at SHIELD blind? How can you let a competitor open a store in front of your house, and you haven't found out yet? At the moment, Jiang Bai didn't care about Natasha Romanoff's surprise, but directly boarded the helicopter. Hurry up, we should go.
The end.
Chapter 28. Jiang Bai, Natasha Romanoff, and Ada Wong boarded the helicopter and flew to New Moon. On the plane, Natasha Romanoff and the second daughter of King Ada looked at Jiang Bai with hesitation. After learning from Jiang Bai just now that the SCP Foundation also has a branch and a mobile task force in New York, their hearts were overwhelmed. The second daughter wanted to ask Jiang Bai several times, but she swallowed her words when they came to her lips. Whoever speaks first now will take advantage of the other party. Moreover, he might be suspected by Jiang Bai of being an undercover agent. In order not to let themselves suffer and let the other party get advantage, in the end, neither of the two girls took the initiative to speak. Jiang Bai had a panoramic view of their reactions, with a weird smile on his face. The reason why Jiang Bai said such a thing just now was because he wanted to see their reaction. It can be said that the reactions of Ada Wong and Natasha Romanoff are all expected by Jiang Bai. This is also to reveal a message to SHIELD, Umbrella Corporation, and even more organizations that there is a branch of the SCP Foundation in New York, and to attract their attention to New York. Only by attracting the attention of these people can he spread the name of the Foundation and the Old Master. Only in this way can you benefit yourself. Jiang Bai thought so, and then opened the exchange interface. A medium-sized Foundation base, no headquarters capable of suppressing SCP abilities, but equipped with 10 researchers, 300 security personnel, and a mobile task force. The reason why Jiang Bai said that the Foundation has a branch in New York is because he has already seen a medium-sized base of the Foundation in the exchange interface. This medium-sized base requires 1,000 points of SAN value. Originally, Jiang Bai did not have so many SAN values, but because JRVIS has also become a believer of Jiang Bai has enough SAN values. Exchange. Choose your location, New York. Obtain a medium-sized base of the SCP Foundation, located in Hell's Kitchen, Blue Ocean Building, New York. Acquired 7C-level scientific research personnel and 3B-level scientific research personnel. Acquire mobile task force Hammerfell Elite Squad. Hammerfell Elite Squad. Hammerfall Armed Mobile Task Force is a battalion-sized task force with a large number of troops including tank platoon, armored vehicle platoon, armed helicopter squadron, chemical radiation platoon, combat engineering platoon, and nuclear energy expert team. Excellent personnel. And the most talented personnel selected from these people will be formed into an elite team of 30 people to be responsible for some dangerous containment incidents. The value of this 1000 SAN is worth it. Seeing the introduction of Hammerfell's elite team, Jiang Bai's eyes lit up. This is definitely a powerful combat team. It is estimated that even if it is weaker than its own nine-tailed fox team, it will not be too bad. And this Hammerfell elite team should be a heavy firepower team. And it is estimated that the frontal combat ability is still higher than that of the nine-tailed fox team. Compared with this Hammerfell elite team, the medium-sized base and those scientific researchers seem to be much inferior. Did something good happen to the young master? Seeing Jiang Bai seemed very happy, King Ada asked curiously. It's nothing. When you arrive in New York, you and Natasha Romanoff will go to Tony's side. The bounty they promised has not been paid yet. 1% of the stock of Stark Industries, which is a lot of money. Although Jiang Bai is not interested in money, but such a large amount of money is his own, why should he not want it? Let Natasha Romanoff go. I think she seems interested in Tony Stark. Natasha Romanoff originally wanted to tell King Ada to go, but who knew that King Ada would take the lead? Natasha Romanoff could only glare at King Ida for the moment. This is to want to send myself away. This be asterisk 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 D woman. She must have some ulterior plan. Natasha Romanoff didn't know how many times she scolded King Ida in her heart. But in the end, he could only smile and nod to Jiang Bai. Master, don't worry. I will definitely let Stark Industry hand over this bounty to us in its entirety. Very well, then I look forward to your performance. Jiang Bai nodded at Natasha Romanoff with a smile on his face, as if he really looked forward to Natasha Romanoff. But in fact, Jiang Bai had a panoramic view of all the little tricks that Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong engaged in private. However, Jiang Bai is quite happy to see the results. After all, if these two people really unite to target him, that is what he should really worry about. Natasha Romanoff, I believe in you too. Seeing that his goal had been achieved, King Ada gave Natasha Romanoff a cheering gesture with a teasing face. Natasha Romanoff's teeth itch with hatred just seeing King Ada like this. But no matter how hated and annoyed, Natasha Romanoff could only hold back. It's coming soon. You two sisters, pay attention. Following Jiang Bai's words, both Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong calmed down immediately, and they all looked at everything around them seriously. A colorful city is slowly appearing in front of their eyes. Unlike the barren Middle East, New York is one of the most prosperous cities in the entire beautiful country. Even if they are sitting on the helicopter, they can still feel the restlessness and carnival from modern society. This is an era of technology, an era of human beings, and it is also a dangerous era. Nyoyue, it's a lively city. King Ada looked at New York below and couldn't help feeling emotional. After all, she hadn't been to such a bustling city for a long time. But it's also a dangerous city, and soon there may be unimaginable chaos here. Jiang Bai looked at the pedestrians coming and going like ants below, but there was a strange accent in his tone. King Ada and Natasha Romanoff, hearing Jiang Bai's words, thought again that the SCP containment might be hidden in this city. Immediately, they also understood the meaning of Jiang Bai's words. New Moon is indeed full of dangers.
The end.
Chapter 29. New York, Blue Ocean Building. This is a medium-sized base given to Jiang Bai by the system, and it is a biopharmaceutical company to the outside world. As soon as Jiang Bai and the others arrived, two people in white coats came over immediately. They are all scientific researchers of this base. Dr. Lakian? Dr. Charlson? You are also members of the Foundation? Ada Wong and Natasha Romanoff got off the plane, and when they saw the two, they showed a look of surprise. When they first heard about Lon High Mansion, they already had some guesses. Because the entire Blue Ocean building is actually the property of a company called Blue Ocean Biopharmaceutical Group. This is a well-known biopharmaceutical group in New York, and the most rare thing is that this biopharmaceutical group was actually established by 3 doctors. All shares. This is rare in New York. After all, these 3 doctors are well-known authorities in the industry. It is really surprising that they can join forces to form a group and live in harmony with each other. Especially Ada Wong. She is inextricably linked with the Umbrella Company, and the Blue Ocean Biopharmaceutical Group is one of the few in the industry that can threaten the existence of the Umbrella Company. So when he heard that he was going to the Blue Ocean building, Ada Wong actually guessed whether the Blue Ocean Biopharmaceutical Group is the New York branch of the Foundation. And now after seeing the 2 leading doctors of the Blue Ocean Biopharmaceutical Group, Ada Wong confirmed this even more. You are? After hearing what King Ada said, the 2 also showed doubts about King Ada. It seems to be thinking about whether the woman in front of her is real. But before the 2 could figure it out, they saw Jiang Bai coming out of the helicopter. Immediately, The two of them didn't care whether they had seen such meaningless things as King Ada, but hurried forward to salute Jiang Bai. President, Dr. Reiner at the moment is analyzing the containment items that appeared near Hell's Kitchen, so he didn't come to meet the president. Jiang Bai just nodded slightly when he heard the words and didn't care about it. The two doctors in front of him are two of the 3 B-level researchers in his New York branch. According to the evaluation criteria given by the system, B-level researchers basically belong to the top figures in the same industry. The A-level researchers at the top must be Einstein with epic-making talents. So Jiang Bai also attaches great importance to these 3 B-level researchers. I'm also here for this containment. How far have you researched this containment? Jiang Bai walked forward while talking, but after taking 2 steps, he realized that something was wrong, because both Dr. Lakian and Dr. Charlson stood in place, looking at him with hesitation, obviously wanting to say something but not being able to say it. What happened? Is there a problem with the containment? Jiang Bai knew at a glance that there must be something wrong with the contents. President, there are not 1 shelters haunting New York, but 3. Dr. Lakian and Dr. Charlson glanced at each other, and finally Dr. Charlson took the initiative to tell Jiang Bai the great news. 3? The moment Jiang Bai heard it, he was also a little stunned. 3 containments? You looked into my eyes and said clearly. But then Jiang Bai thought about it. There are nearly 10,000 kinds of containment objects scattered in the world, and New York, as a bustling cosmopolitan metropolis, seems reasonable to have 3 containment objects. Didn't even 2 containments be found in the Middle East? Especially the blood pool at the beginning. Where is it that I haven't found yet? The reason why Jiang Bai didn't bring the Nine-Tailed Fox squad was also because of this. He let some Nine-Tailed Fox members stay in the headquarters, while others arranged to go to the Middle East to find the whereabouts of blood pool. This is a containment with great uncertainty. If 1 day is not found, there will be 1 more day of danger. 3 is 3, 1 sheep is herding, and a group of sheep is also driving. What Jiang Bai said is simple, but Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong were taken aback for a while. This is an SCP containment. Just 1 is scary enough. Now there are 3 shelters in New York, and you still have 1 sheep to herd and a group of sheep to chase? Is this something that sheep can compare to? Jiang Bai didn't care about the reaction of Ada Wong and Natasha Romanoff, but followed the 2 doctors to the interior of Blue Ocean Biopharmaceutical Group. The entire Blue Ocean building has a total of 56 floors, all of which are filled with various scientific research laboratories and office areas. The group employs about 3,000 people. These are all superficially used as a cover to maintain the brand of Blue Ocean Biopharmaceutical Group. The real SCP Foundation, the New York branch, waited until the 3rd basement floor. As soon as they arrived at the gate, 2 security personnel immediately came forward to check. In fact, it is said to be security personnel, but in fact these people are definitely not inferior to ordinary military elites, or even ordinary agents of SHIELD in terms of combat effectiveness. Because these security personnel are also members of the establishment of the SCP Foundation. Although they are only C-level personnel, they belong to the most grassroots members. But since they can become a member of the Foundation, they must have their advantages. After entering the branch, all you can see are some high-tech instruments, and the security personnel of the Foundation who come and go are also armed with live ammunition and look heavily guarded. Whether it was King Ada or Natasha Romanoff, they couldn't help being a bit stunned and surprised when they saw this scene. Because here they actually have a feeling that they have come to the core area of the Umbrella Company or SHIELD. But these 2 places are the top forces in the world, and the SCP Foundation has such strength in just 1 branch, which is too terrifying. And just when they were feeling unbelievable about this, the last doctor, Reiner, also appeared in front of them. President, the 2 ladies welcome your arrival. Jiang Bai just nodded in response, and then asked about the 3 containment objects. What are the 3 containment objects appearing in New York now? I have sorted out the information of the 3 contained objects. Please look up the president. After speaking, Reiner turned on the big screen in front of him, and Jiang Bai just looked up and then showed a surprised look. It's actually these 3 guys.
The end?
Chapter 30. The classification of the Foundation's containment. At the moment there is a person, a statue, and a rock cube that appear on the screen. Dr. Reiner first introduced the humanoid containment to Jiang Bai. This bronze-skinned Middle Eastern man is tentatively called SCP-073. Judging from his appearance, he is about 20 years old, has black hair and blue eyes, and is extremely intelligent. According to our follow-up observation during this period, the character shown so far is kind, warm, helpful, proficient in multiple languages, but at the same time he will bring death. Dr. Reiner immediately pressed the remote control, and the man still appeared on the screen, but he was in a wasteland at the moment, and all the vegetation around him had withered. Even the land seems to have lost its vitality, becoming dry, and there is even a tendency to desertify. This is another characteristic of SCP-073. He seems to be able to cause all plants and even land within a radius of 20 meters from him to lose their vitality and then die. According to the current situation, the existence of SCP-073 should cause all the anaerobic bacteria in the soil within a radius of 20 meters from him to die, thus causing the land to become barren. In addition, there is the Sumerian cultural symbol of the location. The meaning of the symbol is slightly known at present. Jiang Bai nodded slightly and then said to Dr. Reiner, based on the current situation, the danger level of SCP-073 should be Euclid, right? That's right, SCP-073 is a containment object that can communicate and has a certain degree of goodwill, and the threat to humans is not too great based on current observations, so Euclid is the most suitable classification. Dr. Reiner also quite agrees with Jiang Bai's judgment. What next? This statue should be SCP-173, right? For the 3 contained objects on the screen, Jiang Bai actually knows them all. After all, he has seen too many materials about SCP containment, but only he knows it. For others, these existences are undoubtedly still full of unknowns, so Jiang Bai will let Dr. Reiner introduce these contained objects to them. The President is indeed well informed. This containment is indeed codenamed SCP-173. This is a statue made entirely of steel and concrete. According to the current known information, once this statue is observed, it cannot be destroyed. Looking away, even blinking, results in the self being attacked by SCP-173. As of now, more than 30 people have died from SCP-173 attacks, and all of them were killed by SCP-173 wringing their necks from behind. Also, for the classification of SCP-173, it is still Euclid. Hearing this, Natasha Romanoff was a little puzzled. Why is SCP-173 also Euclid? Obviously, he has already caused casualties, but SCP-073 only caused the death of surrounding plants and soil, and did not actively attack humans. The existence that has killed at least 30 people is an important wanted criminal in any country, and must be arrested and dealt with as soon as possible. But here in the SCP Foundation, it is still relatively safe Euclid level? What does it mean? Natasha Romanoff believes that she has performed tasks in various parts of the world, and has also seen different styles in various places. But to deal with such extremely dangerous serial murderers who would be attacked by anyone, they would basically be dealt with directly. But she has never seen anything like the SCP Foundation. Although Jiang Bai didn't say anything about Natasha Romanoff's doubts, but Dr. Reiner stared at Natasha Romanoff with some displeasure. Are you a member of that strike class? Don't you know that you can't question when your superiors speak? And it's such a stupid question. Since he came with Jiang Bai, Dr. Reiner naturally regarded Natasha Romanoff as someone inside the Foundation, and even regarded Natasha Romanoff as an elite who came from the headquarters. But is the elite of headquarters only at this level? Dr. Reiner is very skeptical about this. After all, in the Foundation, all kinds of contained objects are mixed with good and bad people. Even if you say a wrong sentence, it may trigger the action logic of the contained objects, or even the law of killing. Therefore, when the superiors are talking, the subordinates are generally not allowed to intervene. But now Natasha Romanoff is clearly not following this rule. Natasha Romanoff couldn't say a word when faced with Dr. Reiner's questioning, because she is really not a member of the Foundation, and she doesn't know much about the Foundation. I will come here this time because of Jiang Bai. So in the face of Dr. Reiner's questioning, Natasha Romanoff was really speechless. Forget it, just pay attention to what you say in the future. Looking at this scene, Jiang Bai showed a playful smile in his eyes, and then waved his hand to ask Dr. Reiner not to pursue these details. For the sake of the President, I will not deal with you for the time being, but I will send an email to the headquarters to inform them of your performance here. After you go back, you can wait for the people from the court to come to you. Dr. Reiner is worthy of his doctorate name, and he is very strict in his words and deeds. And after warning Natasha Romanoff, he continued to introduce the last containment. The last containment is divided into 2 parts. As Dr. Reiner spoke, he pressed the remote control in his hand again, and a rock cube and a man who was somewhat similar to SCP-073 and also had bronze skin appeared on the screen immediately. SCP-076 consists of SCP-076-1, a rock cube, and SCP SCP-076-2, a lean man with black hair and gray eyes. According to the known information, SCP-076-2 seems to have some connection with SCP-073. Guess it may be a brotherhood. In addition, there is a closed door on one side of SCP-076-1, and it is also locked with a 0.5 chain. There is a sarcophagus in this rock cube, which should be used to place of SCP-076-2. In the end, SCP-076-2 is an extremely dangerous existence. Although he can communicate as well as SCP-073, he is more inclined to kill dead man than to communicate, and his combat power is extremely powerful. Almost all known firearms are ineffective against him, and he appears to be able to regenerate indefinitely in the sarcophagus inside SCP-076-1. That's why he's rated Keter. As soon as Dr. Reiner finished speaking, Natasha Romanoff couldn't help it. Why is his classification Keter, while SCP-173, which killed 30 people, is a safer Euclid? Damn it! Why are you like a pig, never getting a lesson? Dr. Reiner once again heard Natasha Romanoff's questioning, and even roared angrily. This angry look immediately startled Natasha Romanoff, SHIELD high-level agent. In the end, Jiang Bai raised his hand to stop Dr. Reiner's anger. Dr. Reiner, let me explain to her. Jiang Bai turned his head to look at Natasha Romanoff and said with a serious face, in the Foundation, Euclid refers to whether it can be completely contained or not absolutely reliable. Keter is difficult to completely contain and may break through containment. Generally, this level of containment would be very difficult to contain, but this does not mean that he is very dangerous. Is that so? Both Natasha Romanoff and King Ada nodded thoughtfully, and only now did they roughly understand the Foundation's classification of containment items. However, SCP-076-2 is indeed a dangerous existence. At the end of Jiang Bai's words, he suddenly turned to look at Dr. Reiner, Dr. Reiner, I need to immediately arrange for people to search for the 3 contained objects in New York. Exist, especially SCP-076? Yes. Dr. Reiner nodded immediately, and then said, in fact, President, we have roughly confirmed the location of SCP-073. Huh? Where? Jiang Bai was also a little surprised by the speed of action of the New York branch, but he was more concerned about the location of SCP-073. Dr. Reiner pointed his finger outside and said, it's just outside.
The end?
Chapter 31. Outside. Hearing this, both Natasha Romanoff and King Ada were taken aback. Although Dr. Reiner said that SCP-073 is a containment that is very friendly to humans, all the containments they have seen during this time are without exception, full of danger. So when they heard that SCP-073 was outside, the 2 girls immediately showed worried and guarded looks. Even when he started to pay attention to his surroundings, he was afraid that if he didn't pay attention, he would die inexplicably. But Jiang Bai still looked indifferent. The old compass was on him, and if there was any SCP containment near them, the old compass would definitely notify him. But now Jiang Bai didn't get any prompt at all, which means that there is no containment near them. By outside you mean in Hell's Kitchen? Hell's Kitchen is a part of the New York City area, located in an area on the West Bank of Manhattan. Because it was a slum in the early years, it was full of husbands and criminals, so the crime rate has always been high. It's also where many of the mob bosses in American comics were born and made their fortunes. The current Hell's Kitchen has become a very prosperous and lively area, and it is very reasonable for SCP-073 to appear here. Yes. Dr. Reiner nodded. SCP-073 is indeed in Hell's Kitchen. He seems to have fully integrated into human society and lives like an ordinary person. This is one of the places we can confirm and trace him. Important reason. In fact, quite a few of the contained objects have the appearance of human beings, or were once human beings. Therefore, they can often smoothly integrate into this society, and even some contained objects will follow human rules and laws. For example, SCP-073 is a typical example. Jiang Bai remembered that he had read the file of SCP-073 before, and it was written that SCP-073 was caught by the police and locked him up, and finally the Foundation took over. This is also considered to be one of the few contained objects that will follow the rules of human society, and will hardly cause human beings to pose a direct threat. Very well, then arrange manpower to find the remaining 2 containments as soon as possible. As for SCP-073, I will find time to contact it, But the most important thing is for us to rest. Natasha Romanoff, shouldn't you go to Tony's side and collect what we deserve? King Ada looked at Jiang Bai with some doubts. She began to wonder if Jiang Bai knew the identity of Natasha Romanoff. Letting Natasha Romanoff leave, wouldn't it give her the opportunity to tell SHILD the information here, and then let the people of SHILD serve as cannon fodder for their foundation in the front? But King Ada didn't care that much. Anyway, SHILD is not a good bird. It doesn't matter if it dies. Because of this matter, Natasha Romanoff had already agreed with Jiang Bai before, and she was eager to find an opportunity to notify SHILD. So after getting Jiang Bai's reminder, she naturally took action immediately. After watching Natasha Romanoff leave, Jiang Bai and King Ada went to a lounge to take a rest under the guidance of Dr. Reiner. Shield Braised Egghead Fury, at this moment, has also received information from Natasha Romanoff. 3 SCPs? And all in New York. Fury felt dizzy when he saw the news. A statue that likes to attack from behind and break people's necks, a man who can cause the death of plants and soil, and a man who can be resurrected infinitely and can conjure a knife out of thin air and use the knife to cut bullets. Sci-fi existence? Right now, the plot of the Avengers Alliance has not fully unfolded, although this world is quite sci-fi. But after all, it hasn't reached the level of weirdness behind. So after seeing the information about the 3 contained objects, Fury always felt that it was a little too outrageous. After all, a statue suddenly teleports behind you and snaps your neck, just because you looked away. In addition, of the remaining 2, the man named SCP-073 is ignored. But isn't that man called SCP-076 a bit too much? Unlimited resurrection, and the ability to chop bullets with a knife. This is simply outrageous. Thinking of these, Fury shook his head with a headache. Forget it. Let's discuss this matter with Pierce. Speaking of the entire SHILD, the person Fury trusts the most among them must be Alexander Pierce. At the moment, Pierce is thinking in the office how he should quietly replace the remaining departments of SHILD with people from HYDRA. As the boss of HYDRA, he is also one of the top executives of S.H.I.E.L.D. Pierce has been planning to infiltrate SHILD for a long time. And after so many years of hard work, now 80% of the entire SHILD has been infiltrated by HYDRA. As long as you work hard, the entire SHILD will be HYDRA. However, at this moment, Fury suddenly rushed in. If it weren't for Pierce's calmness accumulated over the years as an agent, he would have opened the drawer and taken out the hidden pistol to shoot Fury directly just now. Pierce, look at this thing. Fury placed the message from Natasha Romanoff in front of Pierce, then stood aside and waited for Pierce to read it all. SCP Foundation? What organization is this? Pierce was not very interested in the SCP Foundation at first, thinking it was just a small organization. But as Pierce watched, he became more and more startled. In the end, he couldn't help but gasp and looked up at Fury with astonishment. Is this foundation really so scary? I have never seen any of those so-called SCP containment objects. But just from Natasha Romanoff's description, Pierce could perceive the horror of these contained objects. A big fish. This is definitely a big fish not inferior to SHILD. Pierce, this SCP Foundation, is definitely a big fish. I personally think that we should devote most of SHILD's current resources to investigating the SCP Foundation. For this reason, I came up with an excellent plan. That is the Peach Picking Project. The Peach Picking Project? Pierce twitched his hands slightly when he heard that, subconsciously wanting to go to the pistol again. That's right. Our team doesn't know much about the SCP containment at the moment, but this opportunity has been studied very deeply. I can wait for them to find out and research some information about these containment objects, and then decisively take these containment objects. Catch them all, wait for this foundation to be completely useless, and then wipe them all out. Hiss, Pierce frowned. Why does this plan always feel so familiar? You have a great plan. Pierce nodded approvingly. He doesn't know much about this foundation at the moment, but it is undeniable that he is very interested in this foundation. And Fury's plan is also very good, but there is still one problem that needs to be dealt with. It's hard to judge whether this information is true or not, and Natasha Romanoff is not an agent trained by our SHILD, so I think we should confirm this by ourselves first. Pierce pointed at the report as he spoke. We should send someone to contact this SCP-073. In addition, I will participate in the whole process of this foundation in the future.
The end.
Chapter 32. New York, Hell's Kitchen. This is a bustling metropolis, but also a breeding ground for evil. Just like now. In a dark alley, 3 men with sharp knives were holding a dagger, surrounding a brown-skinned Middle Eastern man in a black suit. Obviously, in 2 or 3 steps, you will be able to arrive at the sunny street. There is a lot of traffic here, and everything looks so orderly and full of order when pedestrians come and go. However, the distance between these 2 or 3 steps has become the dividing line between chaos and order. Hey, you seem to be quite rich. If you don't want to taste the taste of my little treasure, then quickly hand over all the money you have on you. Don't even think about just giving out that little money. I know that you Middle Eastern guys are full of oil smells. We guarantee that you will be safe and sound for $100,000. Ha ha ha, that's right. 100,000 per person. Human greed is like a bottomless pit, expanding constantly. It took less than a minute from the robbery at the beginning to the kidnapping now. However, upon hearing their words, the man just said calmly, "My name is Kane. If you have any difficulties, I will be happy to help." Kane is this Middle Eastern man, and he speaks with a kind of emotionless indifference, like a machine. But he behaved very enthusiastically, as if he was a kind person who was willing to help others. "Shut up. I'm not interested in knowing your name. Get me the money." It's a pity that none of the 3 robbers needed Kane's help. If there was any, they only wanted Kane's money. But Kane actually had no money. "I'm very sorry, I didn't bring any money, and I don't have any money." Kane even took out his empty wallet to prove that he had no money, but this also angered the robbers. "Damn, it seems that you need a little stimulation to be honest." Seeing this, one of the robbers rushed towards Kane and stabbed the knife in his hand towards Kane's shoulder. The other 2 robbers looked at this scene with sneer faces, as if they were waiting for the moment when Kane's screams sounded. What? However, the screams did sound, but they were not Kane's screams. It was the robber who attacked Kane. At this moment, there was an obvious knife wound on his shoulder, and blood was flowing from the wound, as if he had been stabbed. And Kane, who was supposed to be stabbed by him, still stood there blankly. There was no scar on his body, not even his clothes were scratched. Looking at this scene, the remaining 2 robbers thought that Kane was some sort of city hero. After all, isn't there a famous daredevil in their Hell's Kitchen? So after seeing their companion injured, both of them thought it was Kane who did it, so they rushed forward. "This guy may be Daredevil. Catch him and go to Boss Jiang Bai to receive a reward." The 2 roared and rushed towards Kane. Because they suspected that Kane was the legendary Daredevil, the 2 didn't dare to be careless, and they rushed to Kane's vital position when they made a move. Anyway, Jiang Bai said there, "No matter life or death, as long as you solve Daredevil, you can get $10 million US. There must be a brave man under the reward, not to mention a full $10 million US." The 2 didn't even think about whether they were Kane, the opponent of the suspected Daredevil, so they rushed forward and stabbed the knife in his hand fiercely in Kane's heart and abdomen. However, the moment the blade fell on Kane, Kane was still fine and looked at them calmly. The sharp blade didn't even scratch a hole in Kane's clothes. But the 2 men who attacked Kane were miserable. The moment Kane was stabbed by the knife, the wounds appeared on the same part of the 2 people's sides, and blood flowed out continuously. Both of them were lying on the ground, howling constantly, and within a short time, they died due to serious injuries and excessive bleeding. The robber who just stabbed Kane in the shoulder looked at this scene as if he saw a ghost. You. He lay on the ground and pointed at Kane tremblingly, with fear and awe written on his face. At the moment, in his eyes, Kane had become a terrible, terrifying demon. Strong fear drove him to flee to the distance. Kane just stood there and watched him run away quietly, then turned and left. It's like nothing happened. And just after Kane left, Phil Coulson also brought SHIELD's agent here. "The target has left." Phil Coulson took out the communicator and reported the situation to Fury, who was in charge of the operation. "Continue to track. We must be the first to contact the target before the people of the Foundation find the target." "Yes." After Phil Coulson ended the call, he immediately waved his hand. "Continue to track down. Don't worry about these 2 corpses." Following Phil Coulson's order, SHIELD's agents also got into the car immediately and continued to track Kane's location. And the bodies of the 2 robbers were thrown on the ground like this. No one cared. On the other side, the escaped robber also came to Jiang Bai's company at this moment. "So you're saying Daredevil is a brown Middle Eastern man?" A bald man who looked like a sumo wrestling champion, but with huge muscles like rocks, looked at the robber in front of him and asked. "He is Jiang Bai, the well-deserved overlord of the gang in the entire beautiful country. His property is all over the world, and he is also the deadly enemy of many superheroes, including Little Spider-Man, Daredevil, Daredevil, and even X-Men. The robber is just an insignificant role in Jiang Bai's gang. At the moment, facing King, he was immediately frightened into incoherent words, but even so he insisted that Daredevil was Kane. That's right. It's that terrible man. He took away the knives from the three of us in an instant and stabbed us again. Jiang Bai frowned when he heard the robber's words and waved his hand in displeasure. Drag this man down, cut him into pieces and feed them to the dogs. No. No. Boss, what I said is true. It is true. As soon as the robber heard this, he immediately knelt on the ground and begged for mercy, but the surrounding people still dragged him down. After hearing the robber's pleas stop abruptly, Jiang Bai looked up at his subordinates. Daredevil has a rule of not killing people, so this Middle Eastern man is definitely not Daredevil. But since he dares to mess around in my territory, he must pay for it. Notify everyone immediately. As soon as you see this Middle Eastern man, kill him.
The end. Loving the audiobooks? Your support on Patreon helps me keep them coming. Check out the link in the description. Plus, as a patron, you can request specific books on Patreon. Just let me know. A huge thank you for your support. Now, let's dive into the next chapter.
Chapter 33. 300 people were beheaded, and Abel was completely out of control. In the middle of the night, Hell's Kitchen was still brightly lit. Each building is like a huge amounts of glow sticks, glowing in the dark. The people who come in and out here are like ants, constantly climbing these fluorescent sticks, hoping that one day they will be able to climb to the top. However, no one has noticed that tonight's Hell's Kitchen seems to be a little more dangerous and tense than before. In the underground parking lot of a building, the scarlet blood flowed irregularly like a stream of water, making scarlet everywhere. In the dark underground, nothing can be seen clearly. But perhaps it is precisely because of this that people's hearing is more sensitive. Clap, clap. It seemed that the sound of someone stepping on a puddle sounded in the empty underground parking lot. If there are still living people in this underground parking lot at this moment, they may be startled by the sound effect exactly like a horror movie. A bloody foot fell to the ground, followed by another. This is a brown-skinned Middle Eastern man. He is wearing a white robe, and other than that, all the skin on the upper body is exposed. A series of mysterious red lines crisscrossed on his body, which looked very strange and hideous. And if you observe carefully, you will actually find that these lines are not randomly distributed on his body, but are cooperating with each other to form some kind of characters, which seem to be some kind of pattern. But no matter what it is, these lines ultimately symbolize the same meaning. Die. This man is holding a knight's épée in his hand. This is a heavy weapon that needs to be held in both hands. On the ancient battlefield, it has such a powerful lethality. However, in this man's hand, it was as light as a branch. He is SCP-076, the most dangerous and troublesome of the 3 known containments in New York. At the same time, he has another name, Abel. Holding his imposing épée that was still bleeding, Abel walked towards the outside of the underground parking lot step by step. At the moment, at the exit of the underground parking lot, several people were gathering together to puff away clouds. Why hasn't Boko come back yet? Didn't he be asked to pick up the car? It took so long. I don't know, but it's really too slow. Boss Jiang Bai told us to find that Middle Eastern guy before tomorrow and kill him. How about we go and see if this kid is touching himself in the car? A yellow-haired gangster with a coxcomb head made a gesture in front of him while speaking, which immediately caused everyone to burst into laughter. However, when they were laughing wildly, suddenly a cold light flashed past Huang Mao's outstretched hand. Huang Mao's smile froze on his face, and then steaming blood sprayed on the faces of several other punks. The laughter completely disappeared at this moment, replaced by everyone's eyes of astonishment and surprise. The knight's épée in Abel's hand was once again covered in blood, and then the blood quickly drained from the sword and fell to the ground. The gangsters looked at Abel in front of them, and then at their companions who had been dismembered. Their sluggish expressions gradually turned into anger. Damn it! One of them suddenly let out a roar, and then pulled out the pistol on his waist and shot Abel. Boom! The moment the sparks formed by the explosion of gunpowder exploded from the muzzle of the gun, the bullet also shot towards Abel's forehead. However, Abel just tilted his head and easily dodged the bullet. This scene directly made these punks dumbfounded. How is this possible? Can dodge bullets? This is not making a movie. Do you think it is the Matrix? But Abel did it, and Abel is still approaching them. Such an unbelievable scene, coupled with Abel's appearance, immediately made these punks react. It's him. Boss Jiang Bai asked us to kill the Middle Eastern guy. Upon hearing this, all these punks immediately took out their pistols and aimed at Abel as if they were facing a formidable enemy. However, before they could shoot, they found that Abel in front of them had disappeared, and then a figure rushed in front of them. Shoot! A little gangster wanted to call the others to shoot together, but before he finished speaking, Abel had already come in front of them, and the heavy and huge amounts of night épée was as light as a piece of paper in his hand. The sharp blade streaked across the air with a cold light, and all the gangsters were beheaded. They also fell into a pool of blood, just like the yellow hair before. The body was directly cut into 2 parts. Jiang Bai? After dealing with these little gangsters, Abel also muttered a word of gold, and then disappeared into the night. Late at night, Jiang is practicing boxing in his mansion. A wall that was half a meter thick, under his fist, only held on for less than 3 seconds before a big hole was smashed out. But Jiang Bai's fist didn't even have any scratches. As the biggest gangster in the entire beautiful country, Jiang Bai's strength is not only in his insidiousness and cunning, and his great strength. In American comics, he, like the Punisher, is considered to have the strongest combat power of mankind. Definitely this is also limited to normal humans. He's not a mutant, but he's more of a mutant than a real mutant, because he has suppressed superheroes such as Spider-Man and Daredevil in one-on-one contests, and even the Fantastic Four and X-Men have had conflicts with him. The reason is actually very simple, because 40% of the criminal industry in the entire beautiful country is inextricably related to him. If Phil Coulson is the head of Novice Village, then Jiang Bai is the experience baby that must be acquired. I haven't broken the 2 sinful deals of Jiang Bai, and I am too embarrassed to go out and talk about my superhero. But even under such circumstances, Jiang Bai's industry is still getting bigger and bigger, and as the rival of many superheroes, he can live safely until now, all of which are inseparable from Jiang Bai's strategy and his strength. After warming up, Jiang was just about to make persistent efforts when a servant at the side suddenly handed him a connected phone. SHIELD? Jiang Bai frowned as he looked at the number on the screen, but he still picked it up. Damn it. Jiang, and I warn you, stop all actions against that Middle Easterner immediately. Do you know how many people you have killed now? 300. That Middle Eastern guy has killed 300 people and counting because of you. You stupid groundhog. Hearing Fury's furious voice on the opposite side, Jiang Bai couldn't help but frown. What did you say? You bastard head, that Middle Easterner killed 300 of my men? Nonsense. You. Fury's scolding had just begun, and the mobile phone had already been crushed into a pile of waste products. 300 people? That Middle Eastern guy is a mutant? Jiang Bai roared angrily, but then calmed down again. Let the mutant killer team dispatch to kill this damn Middle Eastern guy.
The end.
Chapter 34. Praying Mantis catching cicadas and orioles behind. Jiang Bai is the most powerful gang leader in New York and even the whole country. A man who claims to be the king of gangsters definitely cannot tolerate someone provoking him like this. You must know that anyone who has the courage to challenge him, even a superhero, he dares to contend with. Therefore, after hearing that 300 of his subordinates had been killed, Jiang Bai's reaction was not to stop there, or feel that he was no match for the opponent. Instead, he immediately took more intense revenge, just like he faced Daredevil and Spider-Man. Even though he knew that the other party was a superhero and the killer of criminals, he still dared to pay a large price to put a reward on the heads of these people, and he was still sitting here safe and sound until now, unscathed, even though he doesn't have hair. And on the other side, in Shield Fury, a braised egg, looked at the phone call that he was killed and hung up, and the anger in his heart grew exponentially. Shit. This idiot with a brain full of muscles and crimes, this is an anomalous containment. A creature that is completely different from any existence known so far, and he just let these people die like this. God knows tomorrow SHIELD how severe the pressure will be. SHIELD is indeed considered the most powerful organization in the entire beautiful country. As SHIELD director, Fury is even more powerful than the president to a certain extent. But it all comes at a price. One day, people found out that SHIELD can't protect them anymore. Then all the power and honor of SHIELD will collapse in an instant. And now Jiang Bai's approach is obviously to further stimulate the possibility of this kind of thing happening. It was only 12 o'clock, and 300 people had already died in Hell's Kitchen. Although they are all gangsters who disturb the law and order, they are still human beings. There are a total of 300 people, and this number is still increasing constantly. Once the death toll is confirmed tomorrow, the whole of New York will cause panic. By then, SHIELD will face huge amounts of social pressure. Each of Jiang Bai's subordinates has a criminal record. If something happens, we can use the name of fighting New York gangs to minimize the impact of the incident. Although Fury had a headache about it at the moment, Pierce didn't seem to care about it. Even already thought about how to deal with this problem. That's right. Fury patted his shiny head and said after hearing Pierce's words, "Pierce, you really are my good helper. This will really save us a lot of trouble, but there is another question. What should we do with this containment?" Although Pierce still had a smile on his face, he looked at Fury with disdain in his eyes. This stupid B*******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************8 will be wiped out by him, but he didn't even think of such a simple thing. This guy should be anomaly 076. In the Foundation's classification, he is the only one who is considered to have certain difficulties in containment. I think we should put him aside first and give priority to 073. This anomaly, 076, is like a monster, with powerful and terrifying body functions. Even the Captain America back then probably wasn't as scary as him, right? This kind of existence still allowed Jiang Bai's subordinates to spend some energy and then make their own moves. The top priority at the moment should be Anomaly 073. This one can communicate with someone who has no obvious violent tendencies. It is definitely much easier to deal with than this monster that kills anyone at sight. Pierce doesn't know much about the containment objects, but judging from the styles of the two containment objects that have been discovered so far, obviously Anomaly 073 is safer and easier to communicate with. Have a tendency to communicate, even like to communicate, and are enthusiastic and like to help others. Is there a more relaxed partner than this? Indeed, compared to the dangerous Anomaly 076, we should bring back the safer Anomaly 073, but our agent has not found his whereabouts. Since killing those people in Hell's Kitchen, the Anomaly 073 has already disappeared and has not appeared again until now. Fury also said to Wells with embarrassed face, why didn't he want to get a containment object first, to avoid being picked up by the Foundation? But now he really couldn't find it. Wells didn't worry too much when he heard Fury say this, and even smiled. Joke. If you can find it, there will be a ghost. The agents you sent out are all from my HYDRA. I have already told them that if you find Anomaly 073, they will report to me immediately and hide the news from you. You won't get it even if you wait until this time tomorrow. A little news. Speaking of which, it's time for them to bring this Anomaly 073 back to Hydra's secret base in New York. Because this is most likely the first containment that Hydra and SHIELD can obtain, the research value is of great importance. So Wells didn't intend to let SHIELD get Anomaly 073, but planned to bring Anomaly 073 back to Hydra's own base for some research. Wells thought about this, and then took out his mobile phone to send a signal to the agents tracking Anomaly 073 to close the network. However, just as he took out his cell phone, a call came in, and it's the number of one of the agents he sent to track down Anomaly 073. Hello? Wells answered the phone with some doubts, and then heard a strange voice from the opposite side. I am the Anomaly Foundation, the captain of the Hammerfell team. Our president asked me to bring you a sentence. Thank you SHIELD for protecting Kane. I hope we will have opportunities to cooperate in the future. After speaking, the other party directly hung up the phone, leaving Wells looking at his mobile phone with a look of astonishment, and his face gradually became ugly. Wells, what's wrong with you? Seeing Wells like this, Fury immediately understood that something serious might have happened, so he hurriedly asked Wells. Wells looked up at Fury in a daze. At this moment, he suddenly felt that he was the same person as the braised egg head in front of him, who was all played by the Foundation. Suddenly, an evil fire surged into his heart, and Wells threw his phone to the ground while roaring angrily. Damn the Foundation. My 9. SHIELD and you are at odds.
The end?
Chapter 35. Containment contained voluntarily. Jiang Bai hung up the phone, casually threw the phone to the double agent of Hydra and SHIELD who had been tied up, and then looked up at Anomaly 073, which was Kane. Kane, I am the president of the Abnormal Foundation, and I would like to invite you to our foundation as a guest. Kane looked at Jiang Bai and nodded. I think you are an existence that you can get along with and have a positive guiding effect on this world, so I accept your invitation, sir. As if Kane didn't care about the violent incident in front of him at all, he also readily accepted the invitation of Jiang Bai, a person of unknown origin. But Jiang Bai looked prepared for this and was not surprised at all. After Kane agreed, he immediately guided Kane into the car and went straight to the Blue Ocean building. King Ada, who was following Jiang Bai, was also dumbfounded watching this scene. It's that simple? Isn't this containment? How could it be so simple to follow you? Even if this is an ordinary person, he wouldn't just leave with someone he doesn't know so easily, right? At this moment, King Ada's heart was full of doubts and incomprehensions. She couldn't figure it out. Why would Cain follow Jiang Bai so easily? Jiang Bai also seemed to see King Ada's doubts, and immediately said with a light smile, "Not all contained objects are dangerous, and not all contained objects are resistant to containment. Do you think so? Cain, gentlemen. If it is the correct behavior, I am personally willing to accept the investigation of some positive organizations and will actively cooperate with them." Cain also nodded immediately and replied seriously, "Is there really someone who is willing to give up their freedom for others?" King Ada looked at Cain's serious look and recalled the members of the Foundation he had seen during this period, and a strange, indescribable feeling suddenly came to his heart. King Ada has always been a free person who does his own thing. She may be associated and cooperate with certain people and organizations, but she will definitely not belong to an organization. Because in her view, these organizations are all acting for their own selfish desires. For example, Weskier, who is cooperating with her now, is a good example. Originally, she also viewed the Foundation in the same way, thinking that the Foundation captured these weird and powerful containment objects only for research and to gain the power of these containment objects. But now it seems that although the Foundation is conducting research on them, it is not trying to control these contained objects as its own strength. Their research should be closer to exploration, looking for the essence and truth of things. King Ada has noticed all these things, but she is deliberately ignoring these things, because she feels that one day she will discover the ulterior secrets inside the Foundation. However, at this moment, Kane's definite attitude made Ada Wong silent, and she had to re-examine the Foundation and their leader, Jiang Bai. Before that, was my judgment on the Foundation and Jiang Bai too arbitrary? Perhaps they are really an organization established to protect human beings for the purpose of protecting the world. We have arrived. Just when King Ada was confused because of this, Jiang Bai's voice suddenly came from his ear. When King Ada came back to his senses, he found that they had already arrived at the Blue Ocean building. "I thought you might need some time and rest?" Jiang Bai looked at King Ada, who was a little confused beside him, with a gentle smile on his face. What is King Ada confused about? Jiang Bai didn't know. But Jiang Bai knew that this confusion must be related to himself and the Foundation. Maybe King Ada will join the Foundation soon. No, let's deal with these things first. King Ada rejected Jiang Bai's proposal without thinking about it. The main event was about to come, and the containment of Anomaly 073 was imminent, and she didn't want to miss this crucial scene. All right. Jiang Bai nodded with a smile, and then led King Ada and Cain to the Blue Ocean building, all the way to the underground base. As soon as he entered the base, 3 B-level doctors, including Liner, greeted him. The security personnel also conducted strict and detailed inspections on the 3 of them, and only allowed them to enter after confirming that there was no problem. This is Anomaly 073, Cain. These 3 are well-known scholars in the field of biology, and they are also the leaders of this base. Jiang Bai gave a brief introduction to both parties, and then got to the point. Cain, I think you should also understand your own specialness? Cain nodded. That's good. As the president of the Anomaly Foundation, I hereby make a suggestion to you. I allow you to move freely in the base and provide you with all food, clothing, housing, and transportation, but can you just live in this base and cooperate with some of our experiments and investigations? As soon as King Ada heard Jiang Bai's words, he immediately showed a puzzled expression. Isn't this house arrest? As long as this is a normal person, he will not agree, right? I agree. However, what King Ada never expected was that Cain nodded in agreement with Jiang Bai's proposal. Seeing Cain, who agreed to Jiang Bai's conditions without any hesitation, King Ada felt that the world was crazy for the first time. Do you know what he means? This also means that you will lose your freedom from now on. If there is no accident, you will always live in this base until you die. Death? An inexplicable expression appeared on Cain's face when he heard these 2 words, and then he said seriously to King Ada, I think it is better to help others in this place, and I like to help people, others, so I agree to stay. Hearing Cain's answer, King Ada was completely speechless, and Jiang Bai also had such a smile on his face. In the Foundation's archives there are a number of voluntary containment objects, the most famous of which should be Anomaly 343, False God. An existence that cannot be contained at all, can freely come from any place with the Foundation, but hardly causes any trouble to the Foundation. He claims to be the creator of the universe, and has voluntarily accepted into the Foundation's custody. Although Kane does not have the terrifying power of a false god, he is also a voluntary containment object, and he is quite cooperative. Successfully contain anomaly, 073, get reward physical reflection force field, anomaly, 131.
The end.
Chapter 36, A Humanoid U-Disc. Listening to the rewards given by the system, Jiang Bai's eyes could not help but flashed with excitement. Most of the rewards given by the system in the past were for the entire Anomaly Foundation, and the personal improvement for Jiang Bai was actually very limited. Now he finally got a reward that is also helpful to Jiang Bai himself. Physical Reflection Field. It can be immune and return all damage caused by physical means to the attacker. This ability includes physical damage caused by indirect means. This physical reflection force field is actually one of Kane's abilities. The reason why those punks were injured after attacking Kane before was because of this ability. It can be said that with this ability, there are basically no physical methods that can harm Jiang Bai, including through a certain design. For example, when Jiang Bai walks downstairs and then falls a vase from upstairs hit Jiang Bai. This kind of attacking Jiang Bai through indirect means will also be nullified by the physical reflection force field, and the damage will be returned to the person who did it. To put it simply, Jiang Bai created a physically invincible anti-armor. Compared with this ability, making a bonus anomaly -131 seems a bit insignificant. Because abnormal object 131 is not a powerful containment object, it can even be said to be a completely harmless existence. Abnormality 131 is two droplet-shaped creatures about 30 centimeters high with one eye in the middle of their bodies. Their IQ is only at the level of cats. They do not need to eat, and they are full of curiosity. They will curiously observe everything around them, especially the actions of human beings, and they will be tireless about it. At the same time, they will also make warning sounds when the observed objects are about to encounter danger. Belongs to a pet-like existence, codenamed Eyed Bean in the Foundation. If Anomaly 173 is the Foundation's original work, designed with the concept of a mascot, then Anomaly 131 is the actual Foundation anomaly. Although it is not very useful, 131 is actually the best choice to contain 173. Because they can't blink, and they don't have necks, it is impossible to trigger 173's killing logic at all. In this instant, Jiang Bai thought a lot. And after considering these things clearly, Jiang Bai set his sights on Kane again. Kane, I remember you should have a photographic memory, right? That's right. Kane nodded and took off his gloves. And when he took off the gloves, all the people present except Jiang Bai were surprised. Because Kane's hand is not a normal human hand, but a blue metal. And the workmanship seems to be better than any kind of prosthetics known so far. In the previous actions of Kane, even King Ida, who was a top agent, did not realize that Kane's hands were actually prosthetics. Actually, my hands, feet, spine, and other parts were replaced with this kind of metal substance before I knew it. I think I may not be a real human being. Kane spoke easily, and there was no trace of his dissatisfaction with his current situation in his mechanical tone that lacked emotion. But Jiang Bai knew very well that Kane should not be too happy at the moment. Generally speaking, normal people should comfort Kane at this time, but Jiang Bai did not do so. Obviously, you're not alone. Master, you? King Ada stared wide-eyed, looking at Jiang Bai in surprise. Shouldn't Kane be recognized at this time, so that Kane can be further integrated into the big family of the Foundation? How can you directly say that others are not human? Isn't this trying to annoy people on purpose? But Jiang Bai is still going his own way. Any normal human being will not have your ability or existence like you, but whether you are human or not will not affect your contribution to this world, nor will it affect our attitude towards you and opinions. Jiang Bai's words are very serious. He really doesn't care whether Kane is human or not. Because this is completely meaningless, Zhongshan Mary is even elevated from a human to a supreme divinity. In contrast, does it matter whether Kane was human? It doesn't matter at all. So what do you need from me? Hearing Jiang Bai's words, Kane seemed to regain some energy, but seemed indifferent. Because he always showed a cold attitude, as if he had no feelings. So it's hard to see his emotional changes on the surface. However, Jiang Bai was very satisfied that he could say this, because it showed that Kane had recognized and accepted himself as a member of the Foundation. Actually, it's nothing. I just hope that you can record all the information currently owned by the Foundation in your mind and use it as a backup during critical periods. What titles does Kane have among his Foundation associates? Humanoid U-Disc is undoubtedly the most familiar one. In the original Foundation, Kane was such an existence. Because the safety of Kane was confirmed, the Foundation also used Kane as a backup. Store a large amount of Foundation information in Kane's mind to avoid data loss in the event of an accident. Even some of the materials that have been deleted within the Foundation still exist in Kane. And now Jiang Bai plans to do the same. No problem. I will record all the information here according to your wishes. Without even thinking about it, Kane agreed to Jiang Bai's request. As his profile shows, Kane is a helpful person who enjoys the process. In comparison, 076, who is also one of the Foundation's biblical twins, is a little hard to describe. He is a being full of death, keen to fight and kill dead man kind of existence. He will not help humans, at least not in most cases, and will kill all humans in sight. One is passionate about helping humans, and the other is passionate about killing dead man classes. These two brothers are really two completely different extremes. Thinking of this, Jiang Bai shook his head helplessly and then said to Dr. Reiner beside him, 073 is currently staying in the New York branch, and he is regarded as a member of the base. As long as he does not leave the base, he can freely activities, and at the same time cooperate with some of your experiments. At the end, Jiang Bai added another sentence. In addition, any violence against 073 is absolutely not allowed.
Yes.
Dr. Reiner immediately nodded in response to Jiang Bai, and then said to Jiang Bai, President, in addition, the location of abnormal object, 076 has also been confirmed. He is now carrying out massacres in Hell's Kitchen. Should we immediately send mobile task force conducting containment operations?
The end?
Chapter 37. New York, Hell's Kitchen. Explosions, blood, and death are constantly happening here. The smell of gunpowder smoke mixed with blood was so strong that it made people feel sick. Hell's Kitchen, which was originally bustling like a city that never sleeps, can no longer see any pedestrians at this moment. All irrelevant personnel have been taken away by S.H.I.E.L.D. But even so, there are still many people who come here one after another, and then sleep here forever with a scream. SHIELD's Phil Coulson, who was in charge of the on-site command, looked at these gangsters who kept coming, and his face was as ugly as he wanted. Dang even turned his head and roared at Jean, who was beside him. Jean Bin, you idiot, you are completely letting these people die. Do you know how much pressure this puts on us, SHIELD? UB asterisk 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 D. SHIELD, which maintains justice and peace, and a gang organization that creates evil and chaos. It should have been a situation where they were sworn enemies, but in fact they were not. Kim was not only able to stand upright in front of Phil Coulson, the top executive of SHIELD, but also completely indifferent to the other party's anger. Because he has also paid for the activities of SHIELD, and the amount is not a small amount. As one of the benefactors of SHIELD, Jean Bin may not be able to command SHIELD anything, but it is still possible to coexist peacefully with SHIELD so that SHIELD will not come to trouble him. Hearing Phil Coulson's roar, Jean not only didn't care, but pointed to his head and said seriously to Phil Coulson, "This man, this Middle Eastern guy, he killed my son on my territory, my subordinates. If I can't solve him in my own way, someone will stare at my head tomorrow. So I have to kill him. I want to use his skull as a bowl." Jean he held his cane and stomped heavily on the ground. Jean Bing's cane stamped a hole on the originally hard ground. Watching this scene, Phil Coulson couldn't help but frown, and a trace of scruple flashed in his eyes. Although he doesn't like Jean Bin very much, but I have to admit that Jean can become the biggest gang leader in the beautiful country, and his strength is recognized. If you don't know that Jean is an ordinary person, not a mutant, he is going to wonder if Jean is not a muscular mutant. The muscles in this body are really scary. Seeing that he couldn't persuade Jean Bin, Phil Coulson could only focus on the monitor screen. However, when he saw the picture above, Phil Coulson immediately revealed an expression of disbelief. The place where Abel fought fiercely with the gangs of New York. There are already corpses everywhere. Blood flowed out from these defective corpses and slowly gathered together to form a bloody puddle. Even though it's not the first time these New York gangsters have killed people, they think that things like dead man are commonplace. But when they really saw the scene in front of them, they couldn't help a burst of stomach juice. The air was filled with the smell of internal organs and blood. Abel was walking among these gangsters, holding a knight's épée alone. It seems that he is careless, but wherever he passes, there will be countless stumps and broken arms. Don't be afraid. Let's go together. Be sure. Before a gang member could finish his sentence, he and his companions were cut in half by Abel's knight épée. Seeing that there are fewer and fewer companions around him, Abel is still constantly approaching. Finally, the remaining gangsters couldn't hold on any longer, and they all turned around in fear and wanted to escape from here. However, it is impossible for them to be faster than Abel after all. The moment they turned around to flee, Abel had already come behind them, his cold eyes full of bloodthirsty killing intent. With the sudden drop of the knight's épée, these gang members were cut into pieces all over the ground. Disgusting trash. Abel looked at the people who died under his sword with only disgust and contempt in his eyes. It seems that he doesn't like these people very much. At this moment, more than 600 people died under Abel's sword. Almost all of them are Jiang Bai's subordinates. This is why Jiang did not necessarily kill Abel. Because of one Abel, he now lost almost all his men in this area of Hell's Kitchen. Gangsters are a cruel world, and once your strength is weakened, there will be many people fighting for your belongings. Jiang Bai could even predict that there might be several gangsters coming tomorrow morning to compete for his property and business in Hell's Kitchen. Maybe there are some powerful gangsters now who are almost thinking about how to use this incident to pull themselves down from the status of the king of gangsters in the country. So Jiang must kill Abel. He must prove his strength to all his subordinates. Let those challengers who covet his status know that he is still this New York, the undisputed underground king of the entire beautiful country. After Abel dealt with these people, he planned to continue walking forward with his sword in hand. He had a premonition that this time when he woke up, he would meet an opponent who would allow him to fight to his heart's content. For this reason, Abel decided to kill constantly, and constantly sent these disgusting humans to hell. As long as I keep killing constantly like this, I will definitely be able to meet that opponent who can let me fight to my heart's content. Boom! When Abel was about to move forward, suddenly a little fire lit up in the night sky. A bullet broke through the speed of sound and quickly hit Abel in the night sky. However, at the next moment, the knight's épée in Abel's hand swung across, and the bullet hit the blade, which was easily cut open like tofu. It stands to reason that so many people have been killed. This sword should have been blunted long ago to the point where even cutting meat would be a problem. However, the knight's épée in Abel's hand was still as sharp and dangerous as if it had just begun. As the night wind blew, a giant more than 3 meters tall and 2 short, dwarf-like dwarfs appeared in front of Abel. Not normal humans. Abel looked at the 3 people in front of him and immediately felt that they were not normal humans. "We are mutant killers. We are ordered by Boss Jiang Bai to kill you." The big giant yelled at Abel with a ferocious face. However, Abel only heard 2 words of his words. "Jiang Bai? Jiang Bai again?" Abel raised his knight épée and looked at the mutant killer in front of him. "Kill you all. Maybe you can know whether Jiang is the one I want to find."
The end?
Chapter 38. Phil Coulson with a headache, 10,000 Loki crawling on him. As a powerful gang leader in New York, Jiang Bai, in addition to ordinary gang members, naturally has a group of mutant killers who specialize in dealing with various troublesome things for him and cleaning up some troublesome people. And now Jiang didn't use them to deal with Abel, an extremely dangerous existence. The big man roared angrily, hit the casserole with his big fist, and then rushed towards Abel with a bear pounce. That huge amounts of figure is even bigger than the average brown bear. No one would doubt that with his size, even facing a rage brown bear, he could rely on brute force to subdue him. And in fact he did. In the past, he once strangled 2 brown bears that had been starving for 3 days with his bare hands in the underground arena, and remained unharmed. Because his mutant ability is muscle strengthening, he can resist the attacks of bullets and sharp weapons only by the strength of his muscles. Therefore, when facing Abel, this big man did the same, ignoring the knight's épée in Abel's hand, and threw himself directly at Abel. He wanted to use his powerful muscles to directly resist Abel's slash, and then strangle him in his arms like those 2 brown bears. "Baby, die in my tender arms." The big man opened his arms and was about to pour Abel into his arms. However, the next moment, a cold light flashed. In Abel's hand, the knight's épée raised and lowered the knife, and a line of blood spread from the big man's forehead all the way to his crotch. Pust! Along with the blood and viscera rushing out, the huge amount of body of the big man was cut open from the middle, split into 2. The knight's épée in Abel's hand was still shining coldly, and the blade was not damaged in the slightest. Huge amounts of corpses fell in front of Abel, but Abel didn't care and kept going. Suddenly, under the cover of the night, 2 black shadows approached Abel like ghosts. Immediately, a sharp dagger appeared in their hands, and went straight to Abel's neck. It was those two dwarf mutants that were on the big man's shoulders before. Their assassination method with the big man is that the big man attracts firepower in front, and they carry out a sneak attack from the side. Once the big man can't solve it, or is dragged back, the task of killing the target will fall on them. Facing the two dwarf mutants who are as fast as ghosts, Abel still looks calm and composed. Because he's faster than these two gnome mutants. As soon as Abel lowered his head, he avoided the attack of the two dwarf mutants, and then he turned his backhand, and his strong arms directly slammed the two dwarf mutants to the ground. Abel's seemingly thin body contained infinite power at this moment. Under the impact of the strange force, the two dwarf mutants immediately lost their mobility, and then Abel raised the knight's épée and pierced the bodies of the two dwarf mutants. Boom! At the moment when the dwarf mutant was pierced, a ball of fire appeared in the darkness accompanied by gunpowder smoke. A bullet flew straight to Abel's forehead. Succeed. The sniper hiding in the darkness didn't doubt his shot at all. Because he saw the moment when his two companions were beheaded by Abel, he fired. At this time, that weird guy must think that all the mutant killers have been solved. But in fact, he is the last member of the entire mutant killer. Unlike the variant ability of the big man or the dwarf, his own variant ability has extremely strong vision. Whether it is dynamic vision, static vision, or even temperature-sensitive vision. My own eyes are a pair of natural supersights, so unlike their fronts, I have always used sniper rifles to deal with opponents from a distance. However, when the sniper was about to appreciate his achievements, he found that the person in the distance was still alive at the moment, and there seemed to be something like a dimensional space behind him. Abel reached out and drew a short knife from the dimension space behind him, and then made a throwing gesture. What is he trying to do? It's a full 6 kilometers away from him. Does he want to use this knife to attack? The sniper looked at this strange thing called Abel, and suddenly a ridiculous thought flashed through his mind. Even the top sniper rifle may not be able to hit the target at such a long distance, let alone him alone. But then the sniper knew that thinking like this was just his short-sightedness. Following Abel's throw, the sound barrier that the dagger broke through directly came to the sniper in the blink of an eye. But the sniper could only watch helplessly as the dagger continued to enlarge in front of his eyes, and finally pierced his eyes with the sharp blade, piercing his brain, and then he didn't know anything. Jiang Bai's gangsters and the mutant killer were all wiped out. However, after paying so many casualties, they didn't even hurt Abel even a little bit. Neither guns nor knives, nor even the power of mutant is Abel's match. Watching this scene, Jiang Bai felt fear for the first time. In the past, even if he was killed by Spider-Man or Daredevil into his lair, he didn't have this kind of fear. But now, he really felt the fear in Abel. Jiang Bai, you idiot. Now you know the horror of this abnormal object? Phil Coulson looked at so many people who had died, and felt as uncomfortable as 10,000 Loki crawling on his body now. But Jiang Bai quickly noticed the problem in Phil Coulson's words. Anomaly? Do you know what this guy is? For this strange existence, Jiang Bai was completely at a loss right now, and when he heard that Phil Coulson seemed to know something, he immediately asked. But Phil Coulson ignored Jiang Bai and immediately issued an action order to these SHIELD agents under him. Everyone, use full firepower. Heavy weapons are allowed, and there is only one target. Kill this man.
The end?
Chapter 39. Containment begins. 50 outstanding agents of SHIELD, all armed with live ammunition, lined up in front of Abel. Everyone is fully armed, and they are equipped with SHIELD's most sophisticated equipment at present. However, even so, when these agents faced Abel, it was difficult to conceal the uneasiness in their hearts. They also saw the scene where Abel killed the quartet just now, which was completely different from the enemies they had seen before. Those previous enemies may also be very powerful, but at least they are still within the scope of human understanding. However, the current enemy is stronger than anyone imagined. He is like a bloodthirsty and terrifying monster. He is powerful, ferocious, and full of weirdness beyond ordinary people's understanding. It makes people feel that what is in front of them is not a person at all, but a demon. Therefore, when these SHIELD agents face Abel, they often feel that their hearts are full of fear and anxiety, and they cannot really calm down at all. But Phil Coulson doesn't care about that. He only knew that Abel had to be stopped here. SHIELD is the largest and the only organization in the beautiful country that maintains justice by force. They have the responsibility and obligation to intercept and completely defeat this terrifying existence called Abnormal Object 076 here. Because behind them is the area outside of Hell's Kitchen, even though their SHIELD is already stepping up the evacuation of the crowd. But this is New York after all, an international metropolis with a population of millions. It is simply impossible to complete the evacuation in such a short period of time. Once Abel is really allowed to enter a place outside the blockade, then everything will be over. The death of a large number of people will inevitably lead to doubts about SHIELD across the country. By then, the reputation and authority established by SHIELD over the years will be gone. So it must be here to intercept Abel. Fire! Phil Coulson roared with the communicator, and the SHIELD agent in front immediately poured firepower on Abel. A large number of bullets hit Abel like raindrops. At this moment, Abel had more bullets in front of him than any barrage game in the world. The overwhelming bullets pressed towards Abel like a huge wave. However, in the face of all this, Abel still calmly raised the knight's épée in his hand, and then charged forward. Countless bullets hit Abel, but Abel just raised the knight's épée and slashed at these bullets one after another. Facing Abel's sword, these bullets were easily sliced apart like cakes. The bullets that cut off the two halves fell all over the ground, but Abel was strolling in the courtyard, as if he was taking a walk, walking towards these agents constantly. The dense firepower network poured this firepower on Abel nonstop, and the sound of huge amounts of gunfire resounded throughout Hell's Kitchen. Facing such intensive firepower, even a heavy armored tank should have been smashed to pieces. But Abel walked through the firepower network like a normal person and was constantly approaching these agents. It looked like Abel, who looked like a death god, was still constantly approaching him. The faces of these agents couldn't help showing a look of fear. Before that, they never thought that one day they would encounter such a terrifying thing. A person who completely ignores firearms and can break through such a dense firepower net with only knives. Is this still human? Damn it! Phil Coulson saw that Abel was still constantly approaching on the screen, but these agents were already panicked, and a burst of anger suddenly ignited in his heart. Use heavy weapons. Repeat. Use heavy weapons. Smash this B************* D for me. Using heavy weapons in the city is undoubtedly a stupid decision. After all, everything destroyed needs money to repair. But now Phil Coulson can't care about that much. If Abel can't be stopped here, what they have to face next is not a problem that money can solve. After getting approval from Phil Coulson, several agents took out grenades and threw them at Abel. At the same time, 2 RPG rocket launchers were also ready, and they began to pour firepower at Abel. The grenade landed at Abel's feet and immediately exploded. The pungent smell of gunpowder smoke and billowing black smoke seemed to illustrate the power of the grenade. This is SHIELD's latest grenade, and its explosive power is comparable to some high-concentration liquid bombs. And the 2 RPG rocket launchers were also launched at this time. Facing the rockets of the Stark Industrial Group trademark, they made a cheerful sound and slammed into Abel's knight épée, and then a violent explosion sounded. The powerful explosion set off a gust of wind pressure, and everyone who was blowing couldn't help closing their eyes. When they opened their eyes again, Abel had disappeared. Did you make it? The first reaction of all the SHIELD agents after seeing this scene was success. Abel, the monster, was blown to ashes by their heavy weapons. But before they could breathe a sigh of relief, they heard Phil Coulson's voice from the communicator. Be careful behind your backs, Phil Coulson hadn't finished speaking when he saw Abel was as fast as an afterimage, killing several SHIELD agents in the blink of an eye. Then Abel mercilessly killed all these SHIELD agents. 50 high-level agents of SHIELD, at least the elites trained by SHIELD and Hydra for more than 20 years, were annihilated in this way. Phil Coulson and Kim were both dumbfounded. Jiang Bai's gang and SHIELD are the most powerful forces in New York. However, both of their forces were easily resolved by Abel. And Abel himself didn't seem to have suffered any injuries at all, but continued to move towards where they were. Just looking at Abel, who kept approaching, Jiang Bai and Phil Coulson couldn't help feeling fear in their hearts. Gradually, Abel and his blood-stained knight épée appeared in the sight of the two of them. He is approaching the two, and death is approaching the two. Fear, tension, uneasiness, and other emotions constantly breed in the hearts of the two. Is New York hopeless? Phil Coulson said with some despair. In his opinion, if SHIELD cannot stop Abel from killing, then there is no organization in this world that can stop Abel. However, just as Abel was getting closer, a loud shout suddenly fell into their ears. Irrelevant personnel, get out of the way immediately. Everyone starts containment operations. The target abnormal object, 076.
The end.
Chapter 40. The Real War Machine, Hammerfell. In the dark night, Abel's demon-like figure was stretched out under the moonlight, like a tall and thin ghost. The smell of blood and gunpowder smoke still lingered in the air. The heavy knight's épée in Abel's hand was still bleeding, and the sharp blade shone with a breathtaking light under the moonlight. At this moment, he was looking straight at the Hammerfell team in front of him. Abel didn't know the Hammerfell team, but he had a feeling that the team of human fighters in front of him seemed to be stronger and more mysterious than any human fighter he had seen before. And Abel seemed to be able to feel an inexplicable threat from them. It seems that you are the opponents I am looking for. Abel raised the knight's épée in his hand, thinking only of the Hammerfell team. His eyes were full of eagerness to fight. There is no doubt that this is a human warrior who can satisfy his desire to fight. Abel was extremely excited about their presence. After waking up this time, Abel felt that he might be able to meet an existence that could fight him, and now this existence appeared in front of him. A team of mighty human warriors. A powerful existence that is completely different from the trash who shot at him before. This made Abel very excited, and even felt a little bit of excitement and joy. This Hammerfell team is composed of elites selected from the huge Hammerfell. Although the number is not large, their combat effectiveness is extremely strong. And their weapons and equipment are more sophisticated than the previous SHIELD agents. 2 heavy tanks, 3 heavy machine guns, and even a family of armed helicopters hovering in the sky. In addition, each of them holds an assault rifle, wears special protective clothing, carries more than 200 rounds of ammunition, and 20 special high-explosive grenades. Just looking at this Hammerfell team made Phil Coulson gasp. What kind of army is this? The equipment is so sophisticated? And who approved them to use tanks and heavy machine guns in the downtown area? Phil Coulson questioned angrily, because the equipment used by the Hammerfell team had far exceeded the regulations set by their shield. These powerful heavy weapons are absolutely not allowed to be used in downtown areas. You must know that once these powerful weapons appear in the downtown area, it will mean the beginning of a massacre. But no one responded to Phil Coulson, and even Jean beside him questioned Phil Coulson in some doubts. Isn't this the agent of your SHIELD? Phil Coulson looked at Jean Bing speechlessly. I think they are agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. These people knew at a glance that everyone was a top-level agent, and their combat effectiveness was rare even in S.H.I.E.L.D. The agents who died just now are nothing compared to them. But it's a pity that Phil Coulson looked at all the visible parts of the Hammerfell team, but he didn't see anything related to S.H.I.E.L.D. But he wasn't completely useless. At least he had already seen which organization this combat team belonged to, because they have the Foundation's mark on them. Anomaly Foundation? It's them again. Anomaly Foundation? Hearing the name, Kim looked at Phil Coulson curiously. It seems to be waiting for more information from Phil Coulson, but it is a pity that Phil Coulson just said the name, and then there is no more information. This made Jean Bin immediately disappointed, but he also kept the name of the Abnormal Objects Foundation in his heart. When he has the opportunity in the future, he will naturally go to find out what kind of organization the Abnormal Objects Foundation is. At this moment, the Hammerfell team had all assembled. There were only 30 of them in total, but they exuded an aura and oppressive force that far surpassed those who fought against Abel before. The captain of the Hammerfell team looked at Abel with a hint of fanaticism and excitement in his eyes. Target Anomaly, 076, codenamed Abel. He has powerful physical functions, can move at a speed that breaks through the sound barrier, and is extremely sensitive. At the same time, he has the ability to ignore pain and injuries, which means that he will not lose his fighting power due to injuries. Weakened, will maintain the strongest state at all times. In addition, 076 can also take out bladed weapons from different dimensions to fight, and he can easily intercept the conventional designs, so if you want to successfully contain him, there is only one way, and that is to use heavy firepower to completely destroy him. He suppressed it, and finally killed him. The captain of the Hammerdrop team suddenly clenched his right hand into a fist, and then raised it high. And this is the tactic that Hammerdrop is best at? This is our first containment operation. The president is watching our performance. The world is looking forward to our success. For the world, for humanity, the Foundation. We control, we contain, we protect. The members of the Hammerfell team roared in unison. Although there were only 30 of them, they roared like 1,000 troops. Jean Bing and Phil Coulson looked at such an imposing Hammerfell team, and their serious expressions became even more shocked at this moment. Terrifying fighters. How did the Foundation train these fighters? Jean has also seen SHIELD agents, soldiers from the beautiful country, and even those special forces that claim to have iron discipline. But none of them have ever given Jiang Bai such a feeling, such a uniform, firm will, like a war machine. Looking at the Hammerfell team in front of him, Abel's eyes were also filled with fiery fighting intent. He swung the knight's épée violently, and a fierce wind pressure flew past one member of the Hammerfell team, directly cutting off a street lamp behind him, but he didn't even blink his eyes. Still he stared at Abel intently. Very good. You are very nice. Although Abel hates humans, he doesn't hate the strong, and he is keen to fight the strong. In the original Foundation files, Abel was always looking for an agent who had given him the final blow many times after he broke through containment, and he gave up when he learned that the agent had died because of a containment operation. Resistance. So facing this Hammerfell team that could bring him a threat, Abel was extremely excited. Dang even brandished his great sword and rushed towards the Hammerfell team. But seeing Abel approaching quickly, the Hammerfell team made preparations in a calm manner. Hammerfell team, the first containment operation, start.
The end.
Chapter 41. Hammerfell is known for its firepower among all of the Foundation's mobile task forces. The Hammerfell Elite Squad is even more composed of elites in Hammerfell. Whether it is equipment or experience, ability is the best group. As soon as Abel moved, there were several gunshots immediately, followed by overwhelming gunshots. The powerful firepower formed a firepower net, enveloping Abel in it. Countless bullets constantly rushed towards Abel, all of which looked exactly the same as when SCP attacked Abel before. And the result is naturally the same. The knight's épée in Abel's hand was like an absolute field. Countless bullets hit him, but they couldn't shake Abel at all. One bullet after another was cut off by Abel, and then fell to the ground. The bullets everywhere covered the entire ground like fallen leaves. And Abel was still advancing towards the Hammerfell team. There was deep curiosity and anticipation in his eyes, and he knew that the Hammerfell team must have their plan. But what is the plan? What kind of surprise will Abel bring to himself when he is looking forward to the appearance of this plan? Sure enough, as the president said, this 076 likes to break through head-on. The captain of the Hammerfell team looked at Abel, who was walking straight towards him without any evasion, and a gleam of heat flashed in his eyes. Heavy machine gun fire. Under the captain's order, several heavy machine guns immediately began to pour ammunition at Abel. Powerful firepower, accompanied by bullet casings flying all over the sky, made terrifying roars in the dark night. The gun flames and gunpowder smoke from the muzzle, like a heavy metal music, is being staged to its climax. Before, Abel was able to handle the firepower network composed of 50 SCP agents with ease, but now he was firmly suppressed in front of these special machine guns of the Foundation, although he was still able to withstand the bombardment of these machine guns. But Abel was also firmly suppressed by this terrifying firepower, unable to move. Seeing that Abel was really suppressed, Phil Coulson didn't feel any surprise. After all, this is a heavy machine gun. It once changed the pattern of warfare and completely drove the cavalry out of modern warfare. On the contrary, Abel alone was able to ensure that he was not under any attack under the firepower of several heavy machine guns. This is already an extremely terrifying thing. Foundation machine guns, don't they need cooling? Jiang Bai looked at the machine gun that was still pouring out firepower and the terrifying amount of bullets placed beside it, and said with some doubts. He also does the arms business, but he has never seen a machine gun made by that company that can last for such a long period of high-intensity shooting. Aren't they afraid that the barrel will overheat and cause the chamber to explode? Maybe the Foundation has their own way? These organizations are more mysterious than we know. Phil Coulson looked at the machine gun that poured out the bullets as if they didn't want money, and deep fear flashed in his eyes. If it is not Abel who is in front of these machine guns, but ordinary citizens, perhaps tens of thousands of people have died by now. The Foundation was able to bring so much firepower into the urban area without SCP's knowledge. Their means are too powerful, right? Is it possible? Suddenly a bold idea appeared in Phil Coulson's mind. Could it be that there are spies inside SCP? As soon as this idea appeared, it planted a seed in Phil Coulson's heart. Maybe after this battle, I should go back and investigate the inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. Even Jiang Bai didn't expect that his actions would cause Hydra to surface after years of lurking in S.H.I.E.L.D. Definitely, this is already a later story. The most important thing now is the battle between Abel and the Foundation. Anomaly 076 is indeed worthy of being a strong person recognized by the president. The captain of the Hammerfell team saw that several special super heat-resistant machine guns could not hurt Abel, so he immediately recognized Abel. But then a stern look flashed in his eyes. Fire! Boom! Following the captain's order, the barrel of the tank aimed at Abel and fired. If it was just shelling from tanks, Abel would naturally not be afraid. But there were still a few heavy machine guns, which held Abel firmly in place, making it impossible to escape. The violent explosion directly blasted Abel away with strong wind pressure. The invincible Abel, who was like a god descending to earth before, rolled around on the ground a few times in an extremely embarrassing situation like a rag doll. Before Abel could stabilize his figure, more than a dozen high-explosive grenades that had been removed from the insurance had already landed at Abel's feet. Boom! The flames and explosion soaring into the sky directly shattered the exterior glass of several nearby buildings. Immediately, the bombardment of the tanks followed one after another, bombarding Abel without stopping for a moment. At the same time, the armed helicopter in the sky also fired 2 rockets at this moment, directly hitting Abel's body. The smoke and explosions all over the sky made the whole Hell's Kitchen seem to be under the baptism of gunfire. Jean Bin and Phil Coulson felt the trembling of the ground under their feet, and they couldn't help showing a wry smile. Isn't this really a war? In the current situation, it is said that he is intercepting a person, and no one will believe it. Although Phil Coulson is also an avid fan of Captain America, he has to admit that even Captain America may only hate the Northwest in the face of such a powerful firepower. However, when the Hammerfall team's attack finally stopped, the gunpowder smoke dispersed under the blowing of the night wind. A figure that was already fragmented, but still standing still appeared in front of all of them. Woo! Phil Coulson and Jean looked at this scene with horror on their faces. Abel was still standing? Even though his body was tattered, and there were not a few intact pieces of flesh left, he was still standing. There was a fiery flame of war in his eyes, and he looked fiercely at the captain of the Hammerfell team. Is it you? It really is you. When I return, I will personally... Abel's face was rotten, and his bony face was grinning with a terrible smile, and he was talking about something. But the captain of the Hammerfall team didn't care about it. He just pulled out his pistol, loaded it, and then came to Abel and pointed the gun at Abel's forehead. I'm waiting for you at the foundation. Boom! With a gunshot, Abel's body fell heavily to the ground, and then disappeared completely into a handful of dust. The captain of the Hammerfell team, seeing this, turned his head and said to the entire Hammerfell team indifferently, "Anomalous object 076 has been contained successfully, and the Hammerfall team has withdrawn." At this moment, Jiang Bai, who was on the roof of the Lanhai building, also received a notification from the system. Anomalous object 076 has been contained successfully.
The end.
Chapter 42. Successfully contain the abnormal object 076, get the reward abnormal object 079, and get a reward for an abnormal object clue. Jiang Bai couldn't help frowning when he heard this reward 079. I remember it should be the old AI? Anomaly 079 is not a good thing in Foundation records. This is a program made by a sophomore in 1981. At that time, the student wanted to make a program capable of self-evolution, but after completing it, he lost interest in 079 after only a few times of debugging. Then I put 079 in my own warehouse, but forgot to turn off the power, which caused 079 to evolve continuously in the past 5 years, and finally occupied all the space of the equipment. Then 079, who felt that he was limited by the hardware and could not continue to evolve, decided to transfer himself to a supercomputer through the network, but was intercepted by the Foundation during the process, and then contained it. In fact, to put it bluntly, this is an artificial intelligence, but he is more intelligent than ordinary artificial intelligence, and he is completely rude and cunning. Originally, if 079 was an artificial intelligence, Jiang Bai would not have paid much attention to him. But the problem is this guy. It's weird. He was able to converse with the Foundation's famous Containment 682, and during these conversations, some unknown agreement seemed to be reached. At the same time, he is trying to break through the containment all the time, which is a relatively troublesome containment object. In the game, Containment Breach of Abnormal Objects, it was the containment failure caused by 079 that caused the chaos. In addition, 079 provides an identity that can be operated by players in the game, Abnormal Object. Secret Laboratory. The goal is to cooperate with other SCP projects and kill all humans. It is for these reasons that Jiang Bai will remember this guy. And in Jiang Bai's opinion, this 079 is definitely a troublesome guy. Although his threat is actually not great, it is not necessarily small. In short, he is like a time bomb, and it is uncertain when it will suddenly explode. Although in comparison, 079 is actually far less threatening than those powerful abnormal objects. This time the reward doesn't have anything on the ability, but it gave a clue to the abnormal object, which can be regarded as saving me 1000 SAN value. For this reward, Jiang Bai is not satisfied or dissatisfied. It can only be said to be quite satisfactory. But isn't that the most normal thing to do? It is impossible to win the lottery, but how can life not even pick up money once? Notify Hammerfell that they can come back. I'm pleased with their actions, and I'm now going to have a guest wanting to see them soon. While talking, Jiang Bai turned his head to look at the helicopter behind him. In the helicopter that has just landed successfully, several people are lifting out a huge amount of rock cube, putting it into a cargo box and transporting it away. Abnormality 076 is 2 individuals, just killing Abel. That is, abnormality 076-2 is not considered a successful containment. Instead, while killing Abel, he should also get this rock cube, that is, the anomaly 076-1 that can resurrect Abel, to be considered a real success. Dr. Reiner, how do you plan to contain abnormal object 076? Both Abel and Cain were abnormal objects discovered in New York, and generally they would be handed over to the New York branch for containment. But after all, this is the first time to contain such a dangerous abnormal object, and this is also the first time to contain such a dangerous anomaly in the New York branch. So Jiang Bai wants to hear how Dr. Reiner and the others plan to contain the dangerous anomaly 076. President, after our calculations, it is very difficult to permanently contain 076, so we decided to place 076 in a metal room with a thickness of 5 meters, and place incineration, suffocation, and poisonous gas in the room. Wait for the death switch. Once we determine that the revived abnormal object 076-2 has breached containment, we will immediately use these switches to kill him before he can act, and there will always be 3 heavily armed security personnel outside his containment box. Make sure he doesn't breach containment. As for the containment plan of abnormal object 076, before Jiang Bai arrived, the 3 B-level researchers of the New York branch had already discussed and studied it. And in the end, such a containment measure was formulated. Very good containment measures. Under such circumstances, I believe that you can basically avoid 076 breach of containment. Jiang Bai is also satisfied with Dr. Rainer's containment plan. Abel is just able to ignore all kinds of pain, but that doesn't mean he won't be injured or die. Therefore, the use of these methods can basically effectively restrict Abel's movements, thereby avoiding the occurrence of containment failure. Definitely at the end, Dr. Reiner also introduced to Jiang Bai his plan after containment breach. Beyond that, we've also planned what to do in the event of a containment breach. What to do in the event of a containment breach? Hearing what Lena said, Jiang Bai frowned. He had an ominous premonition, always feeling that Reiner would say something terrible later. In addition to the current layers of our New York branch, there is actually another layer under our feet, and this layer stores a 3-megaton nuclear bomb. Once the containment fails completely, we can detonate the nuclear bomb. Avoid further deterioration of the situation. Jiang Bai couldn't help raising his eyebrows when he heard this, and Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong on the side were even more taken aback. It's like looking at Dr. Reiner like a madman. Are you crazy? This is New York. Once a 3-megaton nuclear bomb is detonated, the entire New York will be wiped off the map. Ada Wong can be regarded as someone who has dealt with nuclear bombs several times, but she really didn't expect that someone could detonate a nuclear bomb so easily, and it was so easy to say that it was a nuclear bomb with a 3-million-ton equivalent. As for Natasha Romanoff, she cursed SHILD constantly in her heart. What the hell are these idiots doing? The 3-megaton nuclear bomb is in their hometown of SHILD, and SHILD still doesn't know anything. Are they pigs? However, before Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong could further express their views on this, they found that the black rock cube suddenly moved. Immediately, Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong looked at 076 with horror on their faces. It's not going to be breached so soon, is it? This is a nuclear bomb with a yield of 3 million tons.
The end?
Chapter 43. Everyone has seen Abel's strength, and there is no preparation here. Once Abel is really resurrected in advance, all of them will have to die. A creature that can confront heavy firepower head-on and can even be suppressed by flying planes, tanks, and cannons is really no longer in existence that can be defeated by just a few ordinary humans. Didn't you say that it takes at least 6 hours to be resurrected? This is much earlier than what you said. King Ada turned his head and looked at Jiang Bai in panic. The reason why they dare to stand here is because Jiang Bai said that after Abel was killed, It would take at least 6 hours to come back to life. But it's been less than 10 minutes since Hammerfell killed Abel, right? How do you feel that Abel is about to rush out? Thinking of Abel's terrifying fighting power, King Ada and Natasha Romanoff felt a burst of fear. However, Jiang Bai still looked calm and walked straight to 076. President. Seeing Jiang Bai approaching 076, Dr. Reiner immediately wanted to call Jiang Bai to stop, but was interrupted by Jiang Bai raising his hand. Immediately, Jiang Bai came in front of 076 and put his hand on 076, which was trembling slightly. Although on the surface, the rock cube containing Abel's resurrection sarcophagus and the unknown gate seems to be smooth and bright. But in fact, the surface is uneven. When you touch it, you can tell that it is a rough, but also very strong stone. This stone does not correspond to any known substance, so there is no way to destroy it at all. Be honest with me. Jiang Bai looked at the sarcophagus with a cold face, and then gave a low drink. Boom! A strong wind suddenly blew in front of him, making Jiang Bai's clothes flutter, and his hair fluttered up and down in the wind. And 076 seemed to tremble more and more following Jiang Bai's words, as if he was confronting Jiang Bai. But then Jiang Bai suddenly slapped 076 with his palm hard, and 076 trembled suddenly, and then became calm again. Hurry up and send it to containment. Jiang Bai looked at 076, who was no longer struggling, and immediately said to Dr. Reiner and others. At this time, Dr. Reiner and others who were already dumbfounded by the side reacted, and then hurried forward to take 076 to the underground base. Ada Wong and Natasha Romanoff all looked at Jiang Bai in disbelief. Is this still Jiang Bai? How could it suddenly become so powerful? They all knew about Jiang Bai's strength. They had already seen it when they first met Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai is just an ordinary person, and he has no fighting power. But now, Jiang Bai was able to calm down the restless 076 just now with only one person's strength? This is too outrageous, right? Seeing the ghost-like expression of the two girls, Jiang Bai immediately laughed. What? I don't know you anymore? No, I just feel that you suddenly feel a little strange, young master. King Ada said to Jiang Bai in a daze, and Natasha Romanoff next to him nodded his head immediately, which was regarded as agreeing with King Ada's statement. I'm just learning more about the contained objects. It's not a big deal. Now that 076 has been contained, the next step is 173. Jiang Bai's words are not modest. He really didn't do anything just now. He was just confirming the situation of 076. 076 abnormality just now is entirely because Abel is reshaping his body inside, and after the body reshaping is completed, it will be the soul. Because it is reshaping the body, so there is such a big movement. The reason why he calmed down later was also because the body remodeling was completed. It's just that neither King Ada nor Natasha Romanoff would believe Jiang Bai's explanation. In their view, Jiang Bai must have hidden his strength from them before. Immediately, the two girls looked at Jiang Bai bewilderedly. Perhaps the moment they found Jiang Bai, their identities had already been revealed. Jiang Bai may have known their identities for a long time, but he has not said it directly, and is still guarding and monitoring them secretly. Thinking about it this way, the second daughter suddenly felt that everything that happened recently made sense. At the same time, it also gave them a new understanding of Jiang Bai. But Jiang Bai didn't care about it at all, because he was now thinking about how to find the last goal of this trip, 173. By the way, should I expand some D-class personnel? Many of the Foundation's operations and experiments require mice. But it is obviously inhumane to let one of our own people be guinea pigs, and the Ethics Committee, or even the Parliament, will not approve it. So the Foundation thought of another way. Collect the condemned criminals and criminals from all over the world, and then use them as guinea pigs for experiments on various abnormal objects. And these are also known as D-class personnel, the lowest status in the entire Foundation, or in existence with no status at all. But it is also an integral part of the Foundation. Without these people, many of the Foundation's experiments would not be possible. For example, the most famous 682 execution plan. God knows how many 682 executions have been carried out. Among these execution plans for 682, the D-class personnel is the one that consumes the most, and there will be a large number of casualties almost every time. So now Jiang Bai is also considering this matter. Should some D-level personnel be added to the Foundation? This will not only expand the Foundation's eyeliner, but also make some of the Foundation's plans and actions easier and safer. But in terms of D-class personnel, Jiang Bai also holds the same attitude as the original Foundation. D-class personnel should be some people who deserve to die. Although the Foundation acts very domineeringly, even inhumanely. But it will not harm innocent people for no reason. Otherwise, what does the Foundation talk about protecting human beings? Because of this, Jiang Bai felt that some sinners were recruited as D-class personnel of the Foundation, responsible for various suicide experiments and some intelligence collection work. To do this, Jiang Bai first needs to determine a goal. Do you know who the biggest villain in New York is? Jiang Bai turned his head to look at King Ada and Natasha Romanoff, and asked the two daughters a question that confused them. The biggest villain? It should be Jiang Bin. That's right. If the biggest villain is him, it must be him. Both Ada King and Natasha Romanoff reached a high degree of unity at this time. Who else could be the biggest villain in New York besides Jiang Bin?
The end?
Chapter 44. The night passed. Everything that happened in Hell's Kitchen was too sensational. So much so that even SHILD couldn't suppress it, and could only evade it and say it was a fight between gangsters. But this statement is obviously not convincing. The citizens of New York may not be very clear about what happened last night, but everyone heard the explosion last night clearly. It was another explosion and another machine gun fire. Even SHILD has washed away those corpses and blood, but it can't change everyone's memory. The explosion and screams last night, or SHILD's act of emptying the entire Hell's Kitchen at night, made them understand one thing. There must have been a thrilling battle in Hell's Kitchen last night. Therefore, for a while, many people clamored for SHILD to disclose the truth, and they have the right to know the truth of the incident. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., almost everyone is busy at the moment. News media? No interviews are allowed. No? Finance department? Yes. Those losses in Hell's Kitchen must be allocated immediately and then rebuilt. What? 1 billion, 3 billion? My God. Are those materials made of gold? After Fury suppressed his anger and hung up the phone, he immediately couldn't help but cursed. Fact. Damn the Foundation, you made a mess of Hell's Kitchen, and now you want us SHILD to clean up the aftermath. 1.3 billion US dollars. That's a full 1.3 billion US dollars. Last night, in order to contain 076, the Foundation dispatched the Hammerdown team. As for Hammerfall, which is famous for its powerful firepower in the entire Foundation, their combat effectiveness and destructive power are simply too terrifying. A large number of roads have been bombed, several buildings in prime locations are about to collapse, and more than 8,000 people are at risk of losing their jobs. That's the trouble behind containment, a big fight. In many cases, it doesn't mean that you win. Whoever you defeat will solve all your problems. The aftermath behind this is the most troublesome thing. This is also the reason why SHILD is reluctant to use heavy firepower in urban areas. The cost of aftermath is really too high. Originally, these costs should have been covered by the Foundation. But where does SHILD go to find the Foundation now? What's more, their SHILD people did make a move yesterday, but they didn't intercept Abel. If the Foundation hadn't made a move in the end, perhaps the loss would have been even greater and even more immeasurable. Faced with this situation, SHILD could only smash its teeth and swallow it in its stomach. Honestly, out of the money, there is no other way. Director, we can only spend the 1.3 billion yuan by reducing the activity funds of several other departments. Phil Coulson was also crying poorly to Fury at the moment. 1 billion, 3 billion US dollars is not a small amount, although it seems to be nothing to the powerful S.H.I.E.L.D. But SHIELD is an official department after all, and their sources of funding are mainly the tax payments of all citizens and the sponsorship of major companies. Therefore, their use of funds needs to be open and transparent, which also leads to the planning of every funding of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now it is suddenly necessary to come up with 1.3 billion US dollars, such a huge amount of a sum. It is almost doomed that SHIELD can only reduce the funds that have been allocated before, but have not yet been distributed to various departments, and make up the $300 million. But you don't need to think about it, the departments will definitely not be happy. Maybe there will be troubles at that time, which will be even more troublesome. The money has to come out now, unless someone is willing to share it with SHIELD, but do you think anyone will actually do that? Fury shook his shiny braised egg head and said helplessly. He definitely knows the various parts of SHIELD, and he certainly wouldn't want to cut funding. But now it's not a question of whether they want to, but SHIELD has to pay for it. Perhaps we do have someone who can pay for us? When Phil Coulson heard Fury's words, a person suddenly flashed in his mind. Who? Fury immediately asked after hearing the words. If there is really someone who can help him with the money, just let him kneel down and kiss the other person's shoe upper now. Jiang Bin. However, when Phil Coulson said the name Jiang Bin, Fury's face suddenly darkened. Jiang Bin? Do you think these biggest criminals in New York? He will pay this money for us? Blessed Virgin Mary, what's going on in your stupid groundhog's head? Fury looked at Phil Coulson with disappointment. King is not the biggest criminal in all of New York, although there is no conflict with their shield. But in the eyes of the public, Kim should be the target of SHILD's attack. Now that SHILD wants Kim to pay them the money to rebuild Hell's Kitchen, isn't it a dream? But since Phil Coulson would say this, it is naturally after some deliberation. Boss, Jiang Bing's gang also participated in the battle last night, and Hell's Kitchen is also his territory. It is reasonable for us to let him part of the money. Phil Coulson emphasized some of these 3 words again. It is naturally impossible to let Jiang pay all the money, but if only part of it, there are still some possibilities. This, after hearing what Phil Coulson said, Fury only went through a brief hesitation and then decided to give it a try. After all, $1.3 billion is really too much. Now I should think about how to let others take some of the burden for me. Immediately, Fury called Jiang Bing, intending to discuss this matter with Jiang Bing. Jiang Bin, I think you should also know about the reconstruction of Hell's Kitchen. It is difficult for SHILD to spend so much money, so? Fury, we'll talk about this later. I'm entertaining guests right now. Jiang didn't wait for Fury to finish. He hung up the phone directly, and then set his eyes on Jiang Bai in front of him. So, you are the mysterious foundation that SHILD said? What are you looking for me for?
The end?
Chapter 45. Jiang Bin looked at Jiang Bai, King Ada, and Natasha Romanoff in front of him. A trace of fear flashed in his eyes. He didn't know Jiang Bai and the others, and he didn't plan to meet Jiang Bai and the others. But when he heard that Jiang Bai and the others were from that mysterious foundation, Jiang Bin immediately changed his mind. Because the battle last night really shocked Jiang. Before that, he never thought that someone could be so fierce, even confronting the aircraft artillery head-on, and survive the artillery bombardment. These performances alone are already stronger than all the superheroes he has seen before. Because the Avengers Alliance has not yet been established, and the purple sweet potato essence has not come to the Earth to plan birth, so those powerful existences are also hidden in the dark. Jiang didn't really understand that the superheroes he saw were not too strong. So after seeing the terrifying combat power of 076, he couldn't help feeling a little worried. Worried about when he would encounter such a terrifying existence again, which would lead to his own life being lost. The gangster dynasty that he had worked so hard to build disappeared in smoke. And at this time, the only thing Jiang Bing knew that defeated 076 was the Foundation. Therefore, when he heard that Jiang Bai and the others were members of the Foundation, Jiang Bing didn't even care about Fury, the SHIELD director, and he was all on Jiang Bai and the others. Jiang Bin, I heard that you were the biggest criminal in New York? With a smile in his eyes, Jiang Bai said to Jiang calmly, the biggest criminal in New York? Jiang Bin couldn't help grinning wildly when he heard this. No, I should be the biggest criminal in the beautiful country. 40% of the criminal industry in the entire beautiful country is under my banner, and I am the king of underground gangsters in this country. Jiang didn't really regard his own gang as a glorious career. When promoting these great achievements of his own, he also looked proud and satisfied. That's good. It shows that I didn't find the wrong person. After Jiang Bai heard Jiang Bing's words, he also nodded in satisfaction. What he wanted was someone like Jiang Bing. If Jiang wasn't the biggest criminal, he would be dissatisfied. Surrender to me. When Jiang Bai said this, the first person who was dumbfounded was not Jiang Bing, but the 2 beauties beside him. Both Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong looked at Jiang Bai in disbelief. Does he know what he's talking about? This is New York, the most powerful underground gang leader in the entire beautiful country. Even if this kind of person dies, he will never surrender to others. In particular, Jiang Bing has been the boss for decades, and even killed his wife for his own gangster kingdom, just to make himself a perfect villain. How can such a person submit to others? And it is true. After hearing Jiang Bai's words, Jiang Bin immediately laughed. Ha 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 ha. Jiang Bin smiled and applauded constantly. It was as if he was approving Jiang Bai's proposal. But then Jiang Bin stood up abruptly. That huge amounts of body was like a hill, blocking the sunlight of the entire office behind him. As a gang leader for many years, the famous supervillain in American comics. Just standing in front of Jiang Bai and the 3 of them, Jiang Bing already dared to make King Ada and Natasha Romanoff feel an indescribable sense of oppression, as if he was being targeted by a terrible monster, and life and death were only a moment away. But even so, the 2 women still stepped forward to protect Jiang Bai behind them. Jian Bing just glanced at the second daughter who was blocking him and then ignored it, because he knew that Jiang Bai was the one who could really make the decision. I admit that your mysterious foundation is very powerful. It can transport these heavy weapons to New York City under the nose of SHIELD, and after using them, let SHIELD let you go directly. Even I can do this. Not. Jian did not recognize the strength of the foundation from the very beginning, but this was not because he was willing to surrender, but because he did not want to offend the foundation. If it wasn't for this, the three of you would be dead now. After Jian Bin finished speaking, he pointed at the door. Now, please leave here immediately, before I regret it. Jian Bing's words were full of murderous intent, and the cold tone made King Ada and Natasha Romanoff even feel a bit of chill, as if the surrounding temperature suddenly dropped several degrees. Have you ever heard of the Lord of the Old Ones? At this moment, Jiang Bai casually picked up a pin on the table, playing with it in a very leisurely manner. At the same time, he casually chatted with Jian Bing. Is that the fantasy of a group of novelists? Why, Your Excellency is interested in this. Jian Bing frowned and spoke impatiently. He didn't know why Jiang Bai said this all of a sudden, but because he was afraid of the mysterious foundation behind Jiang Bai, Jian didn't get angry, but suppressed the displeasure in his heart. It's nothing, since you don't want to, forget it. I never force others to do what is difficult for me. Jiang Bai shrugged indifferently, then put the pin on the table, turned around and left. Master, what do you think? Jian is not a character who will submit to others. Yeah, if I had known that your purpose of coming was this, I would have stopped you then. After leaving Jian Bing's company, Ada Wong and Natasha Romanoff both spoke to Jiang Bai helplessly. From their point of view, Jiang Bai was just thinking on a whim. How could Jian Bing submit to others? It's not urgent. I think he should change his mind. Facing their confusion, Jiang Bai looked confident, as if Jian Bing would definitely become his subordinate. The two girls looked at Jiang Bai, who was so confident, and they also looked at each other in blank dismay. No one understood why Jiang Bai had such confidence. Inside Jian Bin's office, Jian Bin looked at the pin on the table with a thoughtful look on his face. Old Lord? Why would he suddenly mention something that doesn't exist? Jian Bing frowned, muttering in confusion. Then he reached out and picked up the pin on the table. However, no one noticed that at this moment, a red mark of the Lord of the Old Days lit up on the pin end. Chapter 46. After Jiang Bai, Ida Wong, and Natasha Romanoff returned to the New York branch, neither of them mentioned Jian Bing. The second daughter felt that if she continued to mention this matter, Jiang Bai might lose face. As a result, Jiang Bai mistakenly thought that they were making fun of Jiang Bai, and Jiang Bai was waiting for the system to bring him good news. Jian Bing has become a believer of the host, and the SAN value of spreading the reputation of the Lord of the Old is plus 1,200. Jiang Bai had just returned to his room when the good news he wanted had already arrived. Jian has become his believer because of the seal of the Lord of the Old One. This is actually the reason why Jiang Bai went to Jian Bin and said such a thing. He knew that Jian would definitely not agree to surrender to himself. But that doesn't matter anymore, because Jiang Bai didn't intend to make Jian Bing agree at all, but planned to directly use the mark of the Old Lord to corrupt Jian Bing into his own believer. This is easier to use and safer than any verbal promise of loyalty. Jiang Bai is quite clear about how terrifying the corruption of the restraining gods is. This is also because the system has processed it. Otherwise, those who came into contact with the mark of the Old Lord would not have been corrupted into believers. Instead, they will fall directly into endless madness, or be twisted into ugly monsters and their dependents. When he was leaving before, he would mention the Old Lord, the purpose of which was to leave his own imprint of the Old Lord, and then corrupt Jian Bing. Now it seems that this plan is going quite well. Consciousness comes. Jiang Bai immediately used consciousness descent. His consciousness came to Jian Bing's company following the mark of the Lord of the Old One. On Jian Bing's desk, an alcohol lamp flickered twice suddenly, and then Jiang Bai's consciousness descended. Because Jian Bing has become a believer of Jiang Bai, he consciously prepared an alcohol lamp for Jiang Bai as a carrier when Jiang Bai's consciousness came. But in fact, besides the alcohol lamp, other things in Jiang Bai can also be used as loads. But for some reason, there seems to be a consensus among his believers that only alcohol lamps can be used as the carrier of Jiang Bai's consciousness. Supreme Old Lord, please forgive my previous stupidity and ignorance. In order to make up for my mistakes, I am willing to dedicate my life to the Supreme Being. Jian Bing has completely become a believer of Jiang Bai at this moment. So he regretted his previous rudeness to Jiang Bai and was ready to apologize with death. Even when he took out the short knife he had prepared long ago, as long as Jiang Bai nodded, he would slit his throat without any hesitation. Your believer, Jin Bin, hopes to use his own death and blood to apologize for his previous disrespect to you. Do you agree? Reject. Jiang Bai immediately chose to refuse. What are you kidding? Why do these guys like to use suicide to please me? I have absolutely no interest in this area, and I spent so much effort to turn you into my own believers, just to watch you commit suicide? Jiang Bai looked at Jin Bin speechlessly. After being rejected by Jiang Bai, Jin Bin also put down his dagger with a look of disappointment. He really wanted to use his own death to wash away the mistakes he had made before. Supreme Lord of the Old, your stupid believers desperately hope to serve you, so as to wash away their previous stupid actions. Jin Bin lowered his head and said very piously, at this moment, he has devoted himself wholeheartedly to Jiang Bai and has become a believer of Jiang Bai. No matter Jiang Bai has any request, he will satisfy Jiang Bai immediately. And this is what Jiang Bai wants to see. I need you to capture as many gang members as possible, as well as all kinds of death row prisoners and felons, and then send them to the Blue Ocean building to be used as sacrifices for my blood sacrifice. When he heard that this was used as a sacrifice for Jiang Bai's arrival, Jin Bin immediately became excited. The Supreme Old Lord, am I, a humble sinner, also eligible to be one of these sacrifices? Depend on. The stock of blood sacrifice is hard to pass, right? When Jiang Bai heard Jin Bing's outrageous request, he felt a headache. Why do these guys always like to ask for death? They're all G masochistic, right? No. You still have my tasks to complete. Yes, the Supreme Lord of the Old Ones. As soon as he heard that he still had tasks to do, Jin Bin immediately stopped worrying about blood sacrifice. However, it is not difficult to see from his somewhat disappointed expression that he actually hopes that he can also become one of these blood sacrifice objects. Your task is to find as many criminals as possible, and then send them to the Blue Sea building for blood sacrifice, and remember that all of this must be done in secret. Yes, the Supreme Lord of the Old Ones. The reason why Jiang Bai wants to make Jinha his disciple is to let him find these sinners. In fact, it is preparing for the consumables and D-class personnel needed by the Foundation in the future. As the leader of the largest criminal group in the entire beautiful country, Jin Bin naturally knew where to find those criminals, and then captured them all and sent them to the Foundation's base. In this way, the D-level personnel that the Foundation lacks the most can be regarded as a stable source. And they are all people who have committed serious crimes. Their death can be considered as a contribution to the purification of this world. This is a great thing to celebrate. Thinking about it this way, Jiang Bai suddenly felt that he was simply a kind person. But this is just the first thing Jiang Bai has to do, and there is another thing that needs Jin Bin. The other thing is to look for a statue throughout New York. This statue will break someone's neck from behind. If you find someone who dies in a similar way, let me know immediately. After hearing Jiang Bai's description, Jin Bin immediately remembered something. The Supreme Old Master, I know where the statue you are looking for is. Where? In my vault.
The end?
Chapter 47. Turn the cards up the table. Your vault? Jiang Bai really didn't expect that 173 would be in Jin Bing's vault. But having said that, what is Jin Bing doing with such a time bomb? I found this statue some time ago. After my research, anyone who sees this statue will be killed by this statue. So I plan to use this statue as a secret weapon to deal with some people who are not easy to do with themselves. Guy. Jiang Bai probably understood what Jin Bin meant. Jiang Bai didn't pay too much attention to this. Since he already knew where 173 was, the rest of the matter would be easy to handle. 173 is completely different from 076. If no one sees it, or is being watched all the time, 173 is just an ordinary statue. So it is very easy to contain 173. After instructing Jin Bing for a while, Jiang Bai returned to his body, and then ordered the Hammerfall team to contain it. And in order to ensure success, Jiang Bai also let the Hammerdrop team take the 173's nemesis 131 IP. Although there is nothing special about iPods, they don't even have any fighting power at all. But they are the nemesis of 173. Almost all abnormal objects have their own rules of operation. For example, Abel will go into a frenzy after encountering humans, Cain will not suffer physical damage, and so on. And 173 is just an ordinary statue as long as he is looked at, but once he looks away, even if he blinks a little, 173 will attack the person who looks away. But 131 can perfectly avoid this, because 131 will never blink and is keen to observe everything. In the original Foundation files, 131 followed the cleaning staff into room 173 and then kept watching 173 in order to protect the cleaning staff, causing 173 to be unable to move. So for the sake of safety, Jiang Bai let Hammerfell Team 131 take it with him just to make sure nothing goes wrong. Successfully contain abnormal object 173, get reward abnormal object 738. 738? Trade with the devil? Although Jiang Bai remained calm, his tone was obviously 2 tone higher, because this thing is really the most dangerous and mysterious anomaly so far. 738 is composed of a set of gorgeous tables and chairs. It doesn't seem to have any special places, but it is actually a rather dangerous existence. Because once you sit on this chair, a demon will appear in front of you. He will seduce you, bewitch you, or wait for you to make a request yourself, and then this demon will give the corresponding price. Once you agree to this price, you can get what you agreed with the devil. This is a channel for dealing with the devil. Where did the demons come from for this deal? Where does it exist? None of these foundations have investigated, but the only thing known is that this demon seems to be able to do most things. For example, in the execution of 682, there was an attempt to execute 682 with Momoilai. But the answer was that the Foundation could not pay the price. It's not that it can't be done, but the Foundation can't pay the price. In other words, 682, which is considered an indestructible existence, is not impossible to be completely destroyed here in 738, just because the Foundation cannot bear the price. Definitely, the price of this transaction can be bargained, but in general, the price cannot be lowered. Because when dealing with 738, 738 seems to know how important your request is to you, and what you need to do with this request. Therefore, the practice of obtaining something important to someone from 738 at a very low price, and then earning the middle price difference will not succeed. Making a deal with the devil, I really didn't expect it to be this thing. Jiang Bai shook his head slightly, but there was no dissatisfaction or other thoughts on his face. 738 is indeed a dangerous existence, but at the same time, it is also one of the Foundation's foundations. As long as the price is enough, using 738 Jiang Bai can completely turn the table. At present, the Avengers Alliance has not yet been established, and the purple sweet potato essence is still wandering in space. There are not many existences that can make Jiang Bai use 738, but people like Odin and Ancient One are also difficult to deal with. Therefore, the appearance of 738 is definitely a powerful hole card for Jiang Bai. Now that the 3 anomalies in New York have been dealt with, it's time to rest for a while. All 3 anomalous objects have been contained, and New York has also been hit hard by this containment operation. At the same time, the strength of the Foundation has also been further developed, and all this seems to be developing in a good direction. Jiang Bai is also quite satisfied with this, so he plans to take a break for a while, which can be regarded as a holiday for himself. It's just that this is not a good thing for the 2 beautiful agents who have been lurking by his side. Rest? There are still so many abnormal objects that have not been contained. Shouldn't you hurry up and contain them all? Natasha Romanoff spoke to Jiang Bai anxiously. As an agent arranged by SHILD next to Jiang Bai, Natasha Romanoff really didn't extract even a little useful information from Jiang Bai during this time. As a result, SHILD suffered a crushing defeat in this New York anomalous object containment competition. Not only did not get a single abnormality, but the weight was lost. Natasha Romanoff is also well aware of this, so she also wants Jiang Bai to take the next step as soon as possible, so that she can have a chance to make up for her mistakes. As for King Ada at the side, he didn't seem to be very interested in this, but just looked at Jiang Bai quietly. But Jiang Bai can still see a trace of eagerness in her eyes. Obviously, this is also a person who cannot stand loneliness. At first, Jiang Bai didn't care too much about it. Anyway, they were in a hurry and it wasn't him who was in a hurry. However, a phone call suddenly opened by Simon immediately stunned Jiang Bai. Master, it seems that the Umbrella Company sent someone to discuss cooperation with us.
The end?
Chapter 48. Umbrella Corporation, also known as Umbrella Corporation. It has 3 subsidiary departments, Red Umbrella, Blue Umbrella, and White Umbrella. Is a huge amounts of business tycoon, has a pivotal position in the beautiful country, and is also the villain in the early days of the Resident Evil series. Originally, this is an existence that should be completely different from Marvel, but because this world is not a Marvel universe, but a hodgepodge American comics universe, the Umbrella Company also exists. It's just that Jiang Bai didn't expect that the Umbrella Company would find him. Understood. I'll go back right away. Jiang Bai just hesitated for a moment, then immediately nodded to show that he understood. What happened? Ada Wong and Natasha Romanoff naturally also saw that Jiang Bai must have encountered something. So I immediately became interested and asked questions in a hurry. The umbrella company came to me to talk about cooperation, Jiang Bai said to the second daughter with a look of complete indifference. He was not worried that the second daughter would reveal the news, but was expecting the second daughter to do so. Because if he doesn't, how can he take the opportunity to expand his old beliefs? The current strength of the foundation is actually not strong. Only when the water is muddy enough can the foundation get greater benefits from it. Umbrella company? As a global giant company, the second daughter of the umbrella has naturally heard of it. Especially King Ada, the Weskier she is cooperating with is a hostile force that belongs to the umbrella. After hearing the news, the expressions of the two daughters suddenly became complicated. But Jiang Bai turned around and left indifferently. There were only two girls left with different expressions, and they seemed to be planning something. Soon Jiang Bai met the person who came to discuss cooperation with the umbrella, and Simon who guided him here. Master, this is the representative of the umbrella company, Mr. Menard. Mr. Menard, this is the leader of our organization, Master Jiang Bai. Simon first introduced the two of them to each other, and then stepped aside to leave space for the two of them. Dear Jiang, nice to meet you. Menard was very enthusiastic and wanted to give Jiang Bai a bear hug as soon as he came up, but it was avoided by Jiang Bai, which made Menard stand there awkwardly. But after all, he is a member of the umbrella company, so he still has some psychological qualities. Deng even smiled indifferently. I was too enthusiastic, and I forgot that you Orientals should be reserved. Mr. Menard, what is your umbrella company planning to do when you come to us to discuss cooperation this time? Although Jiang Bai no longer intends to continue this family business of smuggling. But the other party came from the umbrella after all, so Jiang Bai still planned to ask the other party what he wanted to do first? The headquarters of our umbrella company believe that you should be familiar with Jiang, right? Raccoon City? Jiang Bai smiled faintly at Menard. I guess I'm more familiar with this ghost place than you are. When I was playing Resident Evil, I used to hang out here a lot. That's right. Menard nodded. Recently we plan to conduct an experiment in Raccoon City, which may require a lot of supplies and weapons and equipment, but now Raccoon City has been targeted by the military, so from the routine it is no longer feasible to transport materials through Jiang. So our company wants to transport these materials and weapons into Raccoon City through Jiang's route, and the definitely remuneration will definitely satisfy you. Resident Evil is about to start? As soon as Jiang Bai heard it, he knew that this was the Umbrella Corporation's plan to launch the T-Virus on Raccoon City, and then use it to collect combat data. But who knew that in the end it was too much to play, and I lost it by myself. Not only was the entire Raccoon City bombed, the Umbrella Company was also destroyed under the sanctions of various forces. But their impact remains. The T-Virus is like a cancerous tumor, constantly affecting and destroying that world. Definitely these are not important to Jiang Bai, but after Menard's words, Jiang Bai seems to think of a problem. Anomaly 008. What? Menard looked at Jiang Bai suspiciously, wondering what he was talking about, but King Ada and Natasha Romanoff were immediately alert. Anomaly again? And 008? Is this number too high? This wouldn't be some extremely terrifying abnormal object, would it? Immediately, the two girls set their eyes on Menard, wondering if there was an abnormality hidden in Raccoon City. At this time, Jiang Bai also remembered something and was asking the system for verification. System, abnormality 008 is a zombie virus, and T-Virus is also a zombie virus, and even Blacklight is a zombie virus. I want to know whether these viruses will be identified as abnormality 008. Since the setting of the zombie virus appeared, how many times has it been used? Zombie viruses have even appeared in Marvel, which has created a bunch of zombies like Iron Man. So Jiang Bai now wants to be sure, in this American comics hodgepodge world, how are these zombie viruses different? But who knew that the system actually gave Jiang Bai a surprise? All zombie viruses have now been integrated into abnormality 008, and abnormality 008 will make the infected person want to mutate into any zombie virus immediately. F***K. As soon as he heard the system's answer, Jiang Bai said something in his heart. Zombie viruses also have strengths and weaknesses. For example, things made by Blacklight are very different from things made by T-Virus. The Blacklight virus is obviously stronger than the T-Virus in terms of strength. Now this zombie virus is a comprehensive zombie virus. Once it breaks out, who knows what it will look like? In addition, there are still a bunch of mutants in this world, and even Thor and the like. The zombie virus really broke out. These already powerful existences are mutated by the virus again. It is estimated that the end of the world will really come true. So immediately Jiang Bai decided to contain the zombie virus, avoiding the umbrella to give himself a big job. Okay, I'll accept this deal. Jiang Bai accepted the commission without even thinking about it, and Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong were even more sure of one thing when they saw this. Jiang Bai must have discovered something important, otherwise he would not have accepted it. Decided to give up the smuggling business. Thinking of the abnormal object, 008 they heard before, the two girls felt their hearts tighten. They must report this news to the forces behind them as soon as possible. The end. Chapter 49. After discussing these issues with Menard, Jiang Bai sent King Ada and Natasha Romanoff away, saying that he had to make some plans. But for some reason, King Ada finally had an inexplicable feeling. By doing this, Jiang Bai was actually giving himself the opportunity to tell Weeks this information. Has Jiang Bai discovered that I'm actually an undercover agent? After returning to his room, Ada Wong has been thinking about this matter. Ever since I came to this Jiang Bai, I have always had a question, why this Jiang Bai is completely different from the Jiang Bai I saw in the intelligence. Now it seems that maybe the intelligence the other party gave me was originally wrong. King Ada continued to think along this line of thought, but found that the more he thought about it, the more it seemed to make sense. But at the same time, it also shows one thing, his identity has actually been exposed from the very beginning. If this is the case, then this Jiang Bai is a bit too scary, right? King Ada slowly closed his eyes, and then took a deep breath. The cold, humid air entered the lungs through the nasal cavity, and a coolness spread all over the body, gradually calming down the confused King Ada. Perhaps this can explain everything clearly. The reason why Jiang Bai will discuss cooperation with the umbrella company in front of me is not because of his trust in me, but because of letting me pass on the information. Ada Wong's slender index finger brushed lightly on his plump lips, and a trace of hesitation and complexity flashed in his eyes. But soon these emotions faded away, replaced by a touch of clarity. Neither Weeks nor the other former collaborators seem to be as interesting as Jiang Bai. I have been with him for so long, and I don't know what he is thinking. King Ada shook his head with a chuckle, and picked up his phone to find a number and dialed it. Hello? Weeks, Jiang Bai just negotiated a deal with the umbrella company not long ago, and he will go to Raccoon City not long ago. King Ada still kept his hand and didn't mention the abnormal objects, but only said that Jiang Bai would go to Raccoon City. Raccoon City? There was some unexpected voice from Weeks on the other end of the phone, but Weeks soon returned to normal. The previous tyrant army failed, but this time I believe he will not be so easy. Weeks spoke with confidence, and King Ada couldn't help showing a weird smile when he heard it. The reason why King Ada would pass on information to Weeks when he knew that he had been exposed was because King Ada no longer planned to cooperate with Westgear. Instead of cooperating with a guy like Westgear who only knows to pursue interests and power, but has no ideals, King Ada now wants to know what Jiang Bai and the Foundation are planning to do. Compared with that little plan of Weeks, it is really too small. That is to say, from now on, King Ada will be betrayed. The tyrant has already failed. Do you have a stronger method? The T-virus has evolved, and the current T-virus is stronger than before. I believe that the next Raccoon City will be very lively. I hope you will not die there. After Weeks finished speaking, he hung up the phone directly. All the information he wanted has been obtained, and the information that King Ada just wanted has also been obtained. Evolved T-virus? Interesting. A bit of speculation and thought flashed in King Ada's eyes, as if he was planning something. Perhaps I should find an opportunity to have a heart-to-heart talk with my young master. King Ada has decided to turn his back on Jiang Bai. On the other side, Natasha Romanoff is also in hesitation at the moment. Should she tell SHILD about this? It's like Ada Wong can guess that Jiang Bai deliberately let them hear his cooperation with the umbrella company. Natasha Romanoff also has such speculations, but unlike King Ada who directly decided to sell Westgear, Natasha Romanoff is an agent of SHILD after all, and she is now hesitation. Should she tell SHILD this information? If all this is really Jiang Bai's trick, then wouldn't she put SHILD in a disadvantageous situation by doing so? But after thinking about it, both the Foundation and the Umbrella Company are the focus of SHILD's surveillance. I should pass this news to SHIELD. As for how SHILD handles it, that is SHILD's own business. After thinking of this, Natasha Romanoff immediately took out her secret phone number with SHILD, and then called Fury, a braised egg. Hello? Fury, Jiang Bai, He has reached a deal with the Umbrella Company, intending to send a batch of supplies to Raccoon City, and the anomaly is very likely to be in Raccoon City, and the Umbrella Company seems to be planning to do a dangerous battle in Raccoon City. Experiment of. Natasha Romanoff told Fury all the information in one go. After all, SHIELD is not weeks. Although they are paying attention to the Umbrella Company, they have not been staring at it all the time. Therefore, the grasp of these information is not thorough enough. Umbrella Corporation? Oh my god. How could they have anything to do with that? D Jiang Bai. When Fury on the other end of the phone heard the news, he immediately felt his head was about to explode. What kind of shit is this? New York has just lost $1.8 billion in urban reconstruction costs, and there is also a large amount of personnel resettlement costs. The compensation is enough for their SHIELD to drink a pot. Now it's following the Umbrella Company again, and it's also getting involved with the big trouble Jiang Bai. Tired. An indescribable tiredness suddenly made Fury feel a little suffocated. But even so, Fury pulled himself together and said to Natasha Romanoff, I know, I will arrange an agent to go there immediately, and this time we are also trying to wake up Captain America, Spider-Man, and other superheroes. They were invited, so please rest assured that we will be able to succeed this time. Successive failures also made Fury worry that Natasha Romanoff would question their shield. That's why I'm saying this, hoping to keep Natasha Romanoff in check. After all, Natasha Romanoff was an agent who joined SHIELD halfway, not cultivated by SHIELD itself. In fact, Fury has always been skeptical about loyalty. After hearing Fury's words, Natasha Romanoff didn't say much. He just answered silently, and then hung up the phone. Captain America and their superheroes will be dispatched. Jiang Bai this time. Will he really be safe?
The end?
Chapter 50. At this moment, in Jiang Bai's room, the T-virus has evolved. It should be that 008 has mutated, or they got other viruses stronger than the T-virus. Whether it is King Ada or Natasha Romanoff, their every move is under the surveillance of Jiang Bai. That's why Jiang Bai can be so reassuring about the two of them. It's okay for King Ada to say that she seems to be planning to change her partner, but Natasha Romanoff will probably stick to her dispensable position. Jiang Bai, who has a panoramic view of the actions of the two, can detect the change in their mentality at the moment from the dialogue between the two. Ada Wong obviously intends to cooperate with him, and then he just needs to wait for her to speak. But Natasha Romanoff obviously still maintains her position as a SHIELD agent, although this position does not feel firm now. For these changes of the second daughter, Jiang Bai actually doesn't care too much. Anyway, in his opinion, King Ada and Natasha Romanoff are already grasshoppers after autumn, and they can't jump for 2 days. It is estimated that he will soon turn against the water and surrender to himself. After all, none of them are loyal to their own organization. After a better choice is made, it will only be a matter of time before they change their family. Even when the time comes, I can still use their status in the original organization to do something. This is also the reason why Jiang Bai will tolerate the second daughter staying with him for such a long time, and often do some tricks in secret. However, since SHIELD dares to say that, it must have his confidence. In addition to the unlucky Captain America and the superheroes with low-level combat power like Spider-Man, it is estimated that there will be some strong backup, right? Jiang Bai thought about it and felt that the most likely one should be the Hulk, that is, Dr. Banner. In addition, there may be X-Men's participation. After all, they are also relatively close to S.H.I.E.L.D. These people together are a lot of trouble, especially in the ghostly place of Raccoon City. Once they are infected, what they have to face is not a simple zombie. The T-virus in the previous Resident Evil was dangerous enough. Alice and the others who have been transformed by the T-virus are already quite powerful. If these people who have been mutated in the first place are infected by the zombie virus after strengthening, it is estimated that they will be stronger than everyone imagined. Thinking of this, Jiang Bai couldn't help shaking his head slightly. This is not a good thing. But Jiang Bai wasn't too worried about it. After all, since he decided to let SHIELD know about it, he had already made all the preparations. The system I want to exchange for a medium-sized base, located in Raccoon City, and also conduct a strengthening of the base's mobile task force. Before Jiang Bai corrupted Jean Bing, a supervillain with considerable status in Marvel, to become his own believer, and his purpose was naturally not just to let him collect D-class personnel for the Foundation. It is even more for the purpose of spreading his reputation as the old master through gold. After this period of time, Jiang Bai has gained a lot of SAN value, which is why Jiang Bai has the confidence to go to Raccoon City, and will shield them all the reasons for attracting them. The exchange is successful. You have obtained the Raccoon City branch of the Foundation, a medium-sized base, 15 researchers, 12 C-level researchers, 2 B-level researchers, and 1 A-level researcher. Class A. Jiang Bai also didn't expect that he could appear as an A-level researcher in this medium-sized base exchange. This is totally a treasure. Jiang Bai immediately clicked on the A-level personnel, wanting to take a closer look. Dr. Iceberg? Dr. Iceberg, why is it him? Dr. Iceberg is also known as Dr. Iceberg, or Ice Beauty. He is a researcher with outstanding appearance, because in an accident caused by an abnormal object, his body temperature was only -7 degrees Celsius, which made him very dissatisfied, and he believed that this was the origin of his name, Iceberg. At the same time, he is also one of the 4 doctors of the famous Foundation Apocalypse and the assistant of Dr. Gears. And because his paperwork is quite good, he has been forcibly detained by Dr. Gears all the time, resulting in a delay in getting a promotion. But his personal ability is quite worthy of recognition, especially in mechanical engineering, weapon development, and other projects. Ability is quite outstanding. But his fate was not so good, because during his long contact with Dr. Gears, he found that he was gradually approaching Dr. Gears, and his emotional reaction became more and more flat. So Dr. Iceberg committed suicide because he didn't want to become such an emotionless monster as Dr. Gears. I didn't expect to exchange the assistant of one of the 4 doctors of Apocalypse. Is this considered to be an SSR? Generally speaking, people with such names and surnames, who have been clearly recorded in the Foundation files, need to be exchanged separately, and it is quite expensive. But this time, I actually got Dr. Iceberg among the support staff of the medium-sized base, which is indeed a miracle of a single draw. Raccoon City branch, in addition to the researchers, there are 1,000 security personnel, and after strengthening the mobile task force of 100 people, Mad Hatters, compared with the general Mad Hatters, their equipment will be more advanced, sophisticated, and richer in experience. The Mad Hatter is a mobile task force dedicated to containing biochemical and radiation-related anomalies. In the Foundation archives, there was an operation called Granada Summer Camp. The mobile task force responsible for this operation was the Mad Hatter. Therefore, this time he will get the Mad Hatter Mobile Task Force, which makes Jiang Bai quite satisfied. Exchange medium-sized base and strengthening mobile task force. A total of 1,800 SAN value will be consumed. Exchange base 1,000, strengthening 800 once. It's really not cheap. Jiang Bai said so, but there was no hint of heartache on his face, because he knows that these are necessary expenses. In a few days, a large oil tanker full of supplies from the Umbrella Company and flying the flag of the Jiang Bai family set off from New York Harbor and headed slowly towards Raccoon City. And SHIELD, Westgear, and even the mutant brothers who got this information are starting to march towards Raccoon the City and...
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card or directly on my channel. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.